still haven't gotten used to like doing an intro and stuff
Okay.
because
Oh,
it always
I'm very
seems so
excited.
forced. But well, anyways, welcome to Stockholm Syndrome. I'm here today with Erik.
Yes. Hello.
He's Victor's brother, actually.
Yes.
So having on the whole relation there.
Yes. Exactly.
And yeah, let's see. So we're gonna just talk about what he's working on, actually, because he's well, studied filmmaking, right?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, basically, we have a production company in LA, and it's just been operating for about a month now. Um, and it's been great. We just been it's I mean even with the pandemic and stuff, it's been
Yeah.
kind of a little bit annoying to be honest in terms of getting clients and stuff. But the ball's like starting to roll slowly now. And now it's just like we've got one shoot coming up in March.
Yeah.
17th to 18th, we have one there, and then we have two more in Texas. Actually, Evan and Ryan, the other two members of the company, shout out. They are flying to Texas to do two music video shoots there, so we're just kind of like organizing everything now, conceptually and all that kind of stuff. It's a headache because of the time zone difference. But yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So are you gonna fly back?
No, no.
For
So
any of that?
no, unfortunately not. I'm because I'm stuck here. Like I basically do the more of the producing work.
Yeah.
So like I reach out to companies, I reach out to people to see like what if they're willing to do it or not, and manage more
Yeah.
of the I guess more business quote unquote sections of the company. And yeah, and we have like weekly calls, just check in, see where everyone's going, and conceptually we just hop on a call and see what we want to do with the shooting as well. So
So you're just managing and well, doing the business part of things.
exactly, yeah, and then occasionally editing with sound because they can
Yeah.
be done remotely. So
So you're here just for your family, or
yeah. So I'm here because man, this is already we're gonna go dive in. Basically like America, I think like when after I graduated, it was already in like a really bad place, LA, for getting a job for anything,
yeah.
especially film. So I was like, okay, I can stay here, get a 9 to 5, and like pay 1,600 for rent, and kill
Also the
myself.
cost of living, basically.
Exactly, super insane. Or I could fly back to Sweden,
Yeah.
study, meet new people.
Oh, and also with California right now being, I think, in full lockdown as well, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Everything's destroyed. So.
And starting to get to be a failed state.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everyone's leaving now.
Yeah, I heard that everybody's leaving to Texas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes.
For more than just a lockdown, like even Texas.
Oh yeah, but it's just what I heard.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's super, super true.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you think you're gonna go back, or
in the future? Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So you see yourself going back to the US and just staying there long term, or
not really. I hate the US, to be honest. I would go to Asia for a bit first.
Yeah.
And then to the US for maybe like 5 years, and then come back to Europe.
Oh right. So you see yourself long term in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where there? What's your favorite country?
Honestly, I'm still not too sure. I mean, I like Sweden.
Yeah.
I think Sweden's chill, but I want to discover some more European countries. I just feel like the art scene here is a little bit more, I guess, in line with my tastes.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. I like the way you can kind of just walk around here, whereas in the States, at least in LA, it's pretty dangerous.
Oh, it's okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
I think it also depends on which part of the city or the country you're in.
Yeah.
I think there's also dangerous parts of Stockholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you had any like incidents?
Some no-go zones. No. So basically, I've not really been there.
Okay.
I've just been in the student areas.
Right.
And like the main areas, and they're honestly really safe.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, there's some no-go zones and some
Okay.
not necessarily no-go zones, but zones where you don't want to be out at night.
Okay.
That's what I heard. I can't confirm.
Yeah.
I just don't know enough about that.
Yeah.
And same with other cities, I guess, like Paris and
yeah.
like some of the other big European cities have a lot of crime.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, definitely.
And even the city I grew up in for the last 3 years of my school life, kind of sometimes had a little bit of shit going on.
Right.
but you kind of know how to handle it.
Yeah,
I guess it
definitely.
would be in no way, shape, or form same as LA.
Yeah, I had a friend's friend who got shot actually
Really?
in LA. Yeah,
Shot dead?
yeah. I actually was on a project. We did a. She was also in production. She did a film for him called Son of
Yeah.
Oakland, and as a tribute to him. And I was helping out with that project, and it's really fucking dangerous, man. Like if you're smart, it's kind of like what you're saying. You can go away fine, but a lot of my friends were like either they got hit by a car without just like by turning around the wrong corner,
Yeah.
or like straight up mugged
Yeah,
at
mugged.
nighttime. Yeah.
And how did that happen? Did he get like shot because he didn't want to give us up his wallet, or
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It was 7 people. It was just outside this restaurant called La Barca, which is actually a great place. And he was walking back home. Some guy came up to them, were like, "Give me your money." He said no.
yeah,
Boom.
just got shot,
Just
just
like
like
that.
that. Oh, that's crazy.
Super, super scary, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think nowhere near that. At least where I'm from in Germany.
Mm,
Can't talk on the areas in Sweden. I do
Yeah.
not know enough about Swedish issues.
yeah. Dude, I studied for a semester in Malmo. I don't know if I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to live in Rosengard,
Yeah,
which is, I'm butchering it, but it's such a dangerous place too.
yeah.
I saw someone get their. You know what curb stomping is?
Well, I've heard the expression, but I've actually never known
It's
the exact definition.
Terrifying thing. So it's when you put your face on a curb, right, and you bite it, and someone stomps your head in.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, it's
yeah.
like on the street curb.
Yeah. So you're laying down,
Fuck, dude.
and you bite the curb like this, and then someone just stomps on your head, and you will
You-
tie probably.
Or get your jaw broken at the
Yeah,
very
yeah.
fucking least, and like all
Yeah.
your teeth smashed out.
Yeah.
Like that's something you don't get up from.
No, not at all.
That,
dude,
that's
not
that's
at
like a
all.
Mortal Kombat mentality.
That's like a Mortal Kombat mentality. Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's crazy. I think we saw something very close to that. Me and my friend Sam, we were walking back home one night, and just these two people were fighting in the street, and it was like, yo, this is
And
so
that one
bloody.
dude went down, and the other one stomped on his curb stomp the guy.
Well, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like he put his fat face there, but it was kind of like the same thing where he was just stomping on his head. While he was on the ground, and we were frozen. We were watching the whole thing.
Bro, like at this point, I don't understand why you would stomp on somebody's head.
Yeah,
when they're
me
down.
neither, dude. Exactly.
Like that's just not something that would go through my head in that
No.
case.
Dude.
I would be like, oh, nice, I knocked the guy down.
Yeah.
Maybe make sure he doesn't get back up, but
Right.
maybe make sure that he will at some point be able to walk again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so
you must have so much hate for someone to be able to
Yeah.
do something like that.
or just don't care,
Apathy.
because at that point you just want to basically self-preserve, I guess.
Right.
So you want to, with the least effort and the biggest chance of success, win.
Yeah.
And you want to put that guy out of commission, because you know what? When that guy recovers, he might do the same to you.
Yeah.
He might shoot you or whatever.
That's true. That's true. You gotta find a way to decapitate the person without doing something like that. Because like the thing is, when you do something like that, like it's so permanent.
Yeah.
Like you've permanently ruined this poor guy's life forever.
Dude, I think that's just something we're not used to in our modern society anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that was commonplace back 10,000 years ago. You didn't like someone, you're stronger than them, you have more friends than them, you can just curb stomp them and nobody's gonna do anything about it.
Curb stomp them in like the Stonehenge blocks.
Yeah.
For civilization was a thing. Yeah, probably, man. That's terrifying to think about, but that's like super true. I think actually.
So I think we can count ourselves lucky
Yeah.
that we don't have to live in constant fear about that.
Yeah, dude. I was telling Victor this actually. I really think we're living in like the best time in human history. Moving forward and back. I really believe that.
You think?
I think so.
20 years ago?
Dude, the thing is.
Oh, 1 second. Yeah, I know. I always need to close that door because the window kind of opens the door through like the air that's moving through.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I think 20 years ago might have been better. Like if we were born 20 years earlier, for us, not for the general population of this planet, but
Mm, what do you mean by for us?
well, people who were born in Western countries or who
Mhm.
are living in Western countries. I guess you were. Where were you born? You were born in China,
Yeah,
or
I was born in Beijing. But we moved around a shit ton.
yeah. So I don't know if it would have been better for you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but like for people in Western countries,
Mm.
I think they were at least not doing worse 20 years ago.
What do you think Europe was like 20 years ago? I mean, the thing is,
I mean, 20 years ago, I was like one.
yeah,
So I don't know. 20 years ago, I guess more. It was a little bit more united. It was a little bit more boring. I think a little bit more just calm. Everybody had enough of like the Cold War. That
yeah.
was over.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Just
yeah.
after 9/11. No,
I mean,
before 9/11.
it's actually before 9/11.
Yeah, it's actually before 9/11. 1 year
So,
before 9/11.
so you didn't have like those crazy airport checks yet.
It's true. 1 year for.
That's a good time, man. I think before 9/11, we like around the turn of the millennium, we might have peaked.
The thing is this, I agree with you to an extent, but my only counter is that, okay, fine, I would say maybe about 2020, maybe like 2010, I think, or something like that, because now the ease of accessing the internet and technology,
Yeah,
that's like such a big advantage, I think.
it's an advantage, but it's also a huge curse.
It is.
With it comes social media.
Yeah.
And social media addiction, and just all the psychological issues that kind of come with that.
Yeah, that's totally true. I don't deny that, but I feel like at that point, that's up to like it's a tool that can be used for the good or the bad, and it's up to the person to decide if they want to use it for the good or the bad. And
I think we have more potential.
Yeah, exactly.
Today.
Exactly, I think so too.
However, the general population, on average, I think, is worse off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's true. But I still believe that because the individual does have the potential to do better now than they did in the past, and it's more accessible to the general person, I think. For that reason alone, I would say that this time frame, I would say maybe the last 10 years or so, is a really good time to be alive. But yeah, man, it's true. Like with technology as well, that's actually what I'm learning from my master's now. Is all about like the addiction for social media, the power it has, the influence, and that kind of stuff, and it's terrifying.
Yeah,
truly.
I think it's mostly about. It's not just the power that it has in general, political power. Just has power over people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think it has power over like how healthy people are or not.
Yep.
Both mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's so much mental illness that stems from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are not going outside anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, now with the lockdowns even more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see this getting better.
No way. No way. And plus, like, the thing that I think a lot of people are missing is the fact that it has so much impact on the younger generations.
Oh, yes.
Like, dude, if you're a 13-year-old girl right now and you have access to all these filters and, like, you know, your social hierarchy is based on likes, like pixels on a screen, it's so warps your perception of, like, reality.
Yeah.
Like, totally, you know. I feel so bad.
And time is so easily wasted.
Oh, yeah.
So like I can look at YouTube for 4 hours and I don't even see how the time passes. But if I spend that time for 4 hours normally offline, I feel like I did so much more.
Yeah.
Like just actively doing something instead of passively looking at something.
Yeah, so true. I really wonder if there's going to be some sort of regulation or something in the future.
I don't know because why should there be?
Oh man.
Because I'm just saying the people in power kind of have their advantages from this.
Yeah,
everybody's consuming nicely.
Yeah.
Everybody is. It's like bread and games. In ancient Rome, if the people have their games and like so their excitement,
right,
and their food, they're not gonna care.
Yeah, I mean that's facts actually. Now that I think, I mean, like, yeah, if you put it that way, right? The government isn't really gonna do much because it's like such a good pacifier, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think, and I actually see, and that's why I'm kind of hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I see that people are kind of waking up to this idea that they should kind of take care of themselves and improve themselves. There's that whole self optimization movement online.
Mm-hmm.
So many guides for that, whether it be nutrition, whether it be gym training, I guess, sports, um, meditation, uh, information about sleep, how important sleep is,
So facts.
getting yourself off of social media. I guess you could also count like the no fap movement and that kind of stuff.
I guess, yeah.
And that's huge. There's so many people adhering to all of these things,
Yeah, definitely.
and I felt it picking up. I don't know if it's an age thing that I'm 21 now. The people I surround myself with are like, I guess, like 23 to 18 or something, and I just noticed people getting on that bandwagon and starting to trying to improve themselves and take their life into their own hands. But maybe that's just growing up.
I think so. The thing is this, right? I also feel like it's because you yourself is like that, and so
Yeah.
you will surround naturally with other people who are like that. Because my experience when I was in LA was, yes, it's I found a group of people that kind of have that share that same optimism and that same like push to want to improve themselves and challenge themselves.
Yeah.
But I also, well, probably because of class, was forced to interact with people who were very comfortable just kind of existing in their own bubble,
Yeah.
and any notion of challenging their perception of themselves was taken with hostility, quite vehemently, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
Challenging their beliefs, challenging what they were.
yeah,
I guess.
exactly, and they took it a little bit harder, I think. So it's a balance. I would be really interested to see just what the percentage is for like people wanting to improve and people who are like against that improvement movement.
Yeah. I don't think there's that many people against it. I think it's more some people are not really that motivated for it.
Man, I don't know, dude. I feel like when we look at certain, I mean, for one, right? Like, let's say just like the anti-vaccination or the flat Earth movement. There's like a lot of these fringe conspiratorial groups that are popping up, and not only just that, but like alt right or extreme far left movements too. And I would say they're all very against this concept of challenging your ideas or challenging, um, what's it called? Your perception of yourself. You know.
You really think so? I think they're more about questioning everything down to the core. I think, and they're right to mistrust. I just think they mistrust in the wrong things.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter whether our Earth is round or flat.
Of course.
I mean, it wouldn't really matter anyways. So why are you fighting about it? Why would there be a big conspiracy about this? I just don't see how you could look at this with common sense and go like, okay, this really matters. They want to hide from us the fact that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would they do that?
Yeah.
Like I don't see the use. Maybe we could just get off, like rid of all our waste if we throw it off the edge or what? I don't know. What's the advantage of that? I don't see it. And as for anti-vax people, I think they have a lot of fair points. I think it's not transparent enough what is being done to our health, basically.
Interesting. Okay.
I think the mistrust is rightfully placed, but it's the wrong way to say vaccinations are evil because they did a lot of good.
Yeah.
And they are a very intelligent thing to have on a population-wide level.
Yes. Yeah.
And right now, anti-vaxxers are just riding the free train basically because everybody else is getting vaccinated. So they don't get the negative benefits of vaccination,
Right, exactly.
but they get all the positive effects, because the positive effects are on a population basis, because you have herd immunity, so that illness doesn't even propagate within your population.
Yeah, well, it depends, right? Like the measles, for example, came back in the States because people just didn't vaccinate well enough. And I think the thing is this, man, like, because I agree with you at the core of these conspiracies, or conspiracy at its essence is the notion to challenge the ideas held by a dominant hierarchy. And I think that's a really good thing to have. But I think it becomes dangerous when you're presented with like overwhelming evidence and yet you still cling on to your like echo chamber.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
However, what you gotta see about those people, they have lost trust.
Yeah, of course. Oh my god.
Like, they have lost so much trust in the government, in, well, big pharma companies, and the government and pharma companies have not done anything to regain that trust. They've vilified those people, and that's just gonna push them further towards the edge. I think the way to fix this is to educate people on how vaccinations work, on how this stuff goes, and to actually make the process way more transparent. And have a lot more studies done, like actual studies that are very transparent, that can't be forged, to like that are obviously true.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree, but right, I feel like there's going to be a lot of anti-vaxxers who will still fight against it, no matter what evidence.
I mean, you're always going to have these people.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the downside of these kind of platforms, is that they propagate and they perpetuate these kind of groups quite largely, despite very tangible evidence. I feel like.
Oh yes, but then you gotta also see that if you have a group of anti-vax people, they choose that. It's their own choice. Everybody else can get vaccinated.
That's true, but I think it gets dangerous when, like, again, I'll bring back the measles example. It's like they do actually put other people at risk who haven't took vaccine. Well, let's say they took vaccination.
Who are immunocompromised and can't take the vaccination.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't know the solution to this.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. But I don't think the way is to vilify them or to force them to take it.
Yeah.
Because as it stands, there are health risks. There are health risks to vaccines. And you gotta always ask yourself, is it worth it on a population-wide level? And most of the time it is. But that doesn't mean you can't make it more worth it. Just because it's worth it, you can't stop there. Say, okay, we developed this now. Now we're not liable. We're just gonna hand this out, and we're gonna say all the damage is that's okay because we protected more people than we hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe that's our capitalistic system again, where pharma companies want to make money and just do the bare minimum. I'm very sure they could make it a lot safer.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with you. I don't think the solution is. I don't think there is a very easy solution for something like this. And I don't think the solution at all is to antagonize or force everyone to have a vaccination. I think that's very draconic. But like,
I mean, that's just paints the wrong picture.
Yeah, and
then don't matter the intention.
I feel like if the government is forcing you to take a vaccination, then you shouldn't trust the vaccination. Then you're like, okay, that's some real sus shit. But it's a really hard line, man. Like, yeah, what can you trust? Because I think nowadays, you talked about this a little bit, and I think it's something really worth noting, which is just there's no trust in the government at all anymore. It's better, I think, in Europe, for sure. It's a bit more transparent in Europe. I remember I was talking to a Swede, and she was telling me how they like record the Congress hearings, I guess the equivalent of Congress hearing here, like in full and shit, and everyone could watch it. But in other countries around the world, it's just like you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah. So. You don't know what they're talking about in their private mansions.
Oh man, those private parties, With the no, I'm not gonna say it, dude.
Yeah, nah. I think that mistrust is very well placed.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think something's gonna happen.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Well, I think there's gonna be a shift.
Okay.
I think there's gonna be a shift because once we reach that critical mass of people really mistrusting the government, I'm not willing to say revolution, but huge societal implications. I don't know where that's gonna go.
Okay. Well, what are some of your ideas of what that would mean, like physically?
Well, I think for one, civil disobedience.
Okay.
Just massive distrust in the government, and maybe massive amounts of people not voting anymore, for example. However, it might also mean that new uprising parties might be the ones that come out of this the winner. Basically, individuals or parties that just say, this is enough, and I'm going to take it into my own hands, and I'm going to found a party, and let's try and change the system up. So we might see that. Just a new political class, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be really interesting.
That's the good outcome. The bad outcome is revolution.
Maybe that's a good outcome long term, though.
Maybe.
Maybe that's good. I don't know, man. I think the trajectory that we've set ourselves post Second World War, post Cold War, it's really hard to see a happy ending, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not saying it's impossible, but just for me to conceptualize how things are going on our social climate in terms of like what China's doing, how the U.S. is going on, extreme rise in nationalism in Europe.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of hope. For me at least. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I just being realistic. Observing things. I obviously we've developed a lot of good things too, but just on the political landscape, it's very fucking scary, to say the least.
I think it's just basically the current politicians have gotten too comfy, and I think it's just too infested with lobbyists, too infested with all cross connections of all sorts. They've just gotten too comfortable, and they're here to serve the people, and they've ended up serving big corporations.
Yeah.
And I think that will come back to haunt them once the critical mass has understood that.
Yeah. It's just what will be the outcome after that critical mass
We'll have to see.
Is the question that I'm confused because and that's only looking at America, just because I'm starting to really look into what's going on in Asia, the relations between China and India or China and Japan, and just how terrifying this gigantic country is going to be in the future. Yeah. The role that it's going to play,
It's going to be scary.
It's going to be really scary, and no one has really done anything to kind of take action. Not even in the news, which I think is the craziest part.
Oh yeah, but that's because they're all interest groups, and they're getting paid. And then maybe you have maybe the people who advertise with your news program, right? They might have relations to China. China says, so guys, we're only going to work together with you if you lobby against that. Like a negative light on us. So they say, if you paint China in a negative light, we're going to pull our advertisement.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just don't have that negative stuff.
Yeah. Which I think is the inherent problem with this, with what I mean by like the whole post Second World War, because when we enter this, I know this is I don't mean to come off as like someone who's socialism is great or whatever and capitalism bad, but there is an inherent problem with capitalism, which is that the driver of capitalism is money, right?
Yeah.
And just like you said, like even if it means obscuring the truth in the service of money, news outlets will do that. And
Yeah.
they've openly and happily like whitewashed, or not whitewashed, like covered up some of the things that China has done.
Oh yeah.
With absolutely no repercussions. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. But that's the one thing that I think a lot of people are talking
Well,
about.
I think the one thing that's happening is there's a lot of independent content creators on YouTube, on the internet in general, that are starting to
That's so true.
really, well, gain more appreciation among the population. So the population doesn't trust the news anymore.
Yeah.
And it turns to independent news.
Yeah.
If they're to be trusted is another idea.
Yeah.
Because they're also only human, they can be bought. But I think you notice that.
Yeah.
And I think the genuine people will actually come through, at least in some capacity. And I think it's just on us to kind of each get our own shit together and everything will be okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's a really, really great debate between Jordan Peterson and Slovak Zizek. And Jordan Peterson, this guy was always like, "Oh, clean your room, blah blah." That guy, right? Hey, before you clean the world, you gotta clean your room. That kind of thing. Zizek said something that I really liked, and he was like, "How can you clean your room if the world around you, if the rules of what is clean set by the world is not correct? How can you be a good individual if the standards set forth is not correct?" I don't know. Again, I don't necessarily know out of those two which is correct, but I just think it raises a really interesting question. I've been thinking about that, man. I've just been thinking about like how do you become an objectively better person, and then how do you start to make your community better?
I think you need to really look into yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean,
get to understand yourself. Develop your own philosophy. What works for you? What feels right? And try to be less egoistic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like those kind of things, I kind of understand. It's more just like in terms of how do we, like you mentioned, how do we understand news that's not biased? How do we trust outlets as an individual to rely on?
I think it's quite easy. You just look at all of them and look at what makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but what, like breaking it down to in that level, of course, but like, I think it's a lot harder than that, don't you think? Like,
oh yeah, it's a daily struggle,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But I guess you just got to look at everything, compare the views, and at some point you notice a pattern: who's genuine and who isn't, and who you can trust. And you always stay open to the idea that something might not be right, and that person might be, I guess, compromised.
Right. Damn. That's an interesting.
And always be prepared to have your viewpoints challenged.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing that you can have. Stay open.
Yeah. Definitely.
Consider every viewpoint. Listen to everyone.
Yeah.
Because even if they're bullshit and flat earthers and whatever, there might be one teeny tiny speck of truth that they're talking, even if it's not about flat earth or whatever. Maybe they have some other good information. Maybe they know something that you don't. And so you just listen to them. And that's what I've noticed with so many people who other people say they're way out there. They're just people and they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And they don't need you to agree with them. They just want to have a normal conversation with you, and they just want to warn you. So they're just like, dude, this is the matter, and you don't have to agree with them. Just have a conversation with them, hear what they got to say, and then you can decide it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But if you haven't heard it, how do you know it's bullshit?
No, exactly. And even if it's not necessarily about the topic, I think just listening to anyone, every single person has some sort of value.
Oh yes.
And just taking that away from any conversation, I think is I think it's a very just being open-minded is a very artistic way to interact with the world, and I think it's so necessary, honestly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think it's your duty as someone who is kind of, well, an enlightened thinker
Mm-hmm.
to communicate with everybody and be prepared to have your views be challenged.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta be comfortable saying I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like it comes down to the ego again, you know. But it's
And I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Like my political views and my views on the world have changed from here to there to everywhere, just in a matter of a year.
Yeah.
And I'm never where I was 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I just see a new issue, and then I'm over here. So I don't know. I would describe myself as a moderate person.
Mm-hmm.
But when I took the political compass test, I was apparently libertarian left.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know.
Right.
While I don't necessarily agree with some people, I think everybody should have a good life, and everybody should have a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think those two. If anyone disagreed with those two fundamental human values, I'd be worried about them. You know what I mean?
And that's the crazy part because people get divided into those categories, and each side says the other side doesn't think people are worth something, doesn't think people should get a chance and everything. They just demonize the other side and twist their beliefs in a way that they seem crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, everybody just wants everyone to do well.
Yeah, I would say the majority of people. There's obviously some people.
Oh yeah, there's outliers.
Yeah, there's outliers, but it just kind of comes down to the methodology that the other people use. You know what I mean? Like, what does it? What are the? Even when it comes down to something like economics, you know, what are the principles that we should follow to make sure that everyone is happy?
Yeah,
it's different from left or right, or it's a very complicated situation. It always is with humans, man. Like it just. I remember when I was studying psychology, my professor told me that it's not even. Some people say psychology is not a science because humans aren't objective data, right? Like for example, if you had a study with humans and like 60% said this, 60% said that, it's like okay, but what if some of that 6% just weren't feeling too well that day?
Yeah.
What if they just had a bad day and they were like, fuck it, I'll just put on the bowl, put this, you know? It's like.
Well, that's why you gotta have a large mass of people.
Even if you have a large mass, it's and that's what she was arguing is like it's really hard to effectively quantify. Well, some people she didn't argue, so my bad. She said some people say that it's really hard to objectively quantify human beings, especially when you take into like race, age, sex, culture, all these things into account. It's like how did that impact their decision? How do they define certain things like sadness, happiness,
Yeah,
goals? You know, it's.
Oh yeah, people might say they're happy, but they're not actually happy.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm happy, and they get that from having a nice car, having a nice job, having a nice family. Yeah, they just go, yeah, I'm happy, because I have everything that society paints as having a happy life.
Yeah.
In reality, they might be more unhappy than the person sleeping in the tent in the park.
I think many times that's true. You know, it's really interesting that life gives you a blueprint, like what you said, as a goal, right? House, family, car, etc.
Well, society gives you that.
Society, sure. They give you that blueprint, and I think it's up to you to realize that that blueprint is nothing more than a template. It's not something you should follow to a T. If you want to follow it, you can follow it because this is like the standard conventional thing that usually gives people happiness. But I think, man,
You think it usually gives people happiness?
I think for people who don't think a lot, yeah. I think for people who don't think a lot, yeah. Dude,
Okay.
I have one of those talented people I know in my film school.
Yeah.
His name's Nicholas Waltersdorf. He got into an accident where he smashed his spine while because he was a surfer, and so he got surgery. And I shit you not, the next day
he slapped on the reef.
Yeah, exactly. The wave came in, hit him, and it broke his spine. And then he had surgery, and the next night he got this huge pain in his head or whatever, and he felt like it was like what's going on, blah blah. And he basically they botched surgery, and there was like an air bubble in his spine, and he was hospitalized for almost a year. No, over a year, I think. And I went to visit him one time, and we were talking a little bit and stuff like that. And this guy is the craziest guy I've ever met. You know, he would never want these things like a house around. I can see it in him. He was like, I'm just gonna live in my car. Fuck
Mm.
it. And the stuff he makes is just so. I'm not saying he doesn't want those things. I'm not putting words in his mouth, but like I remember just like looking at this guy talking to him. He was just so crazy, and I think he was a big inspiration for me in terms of like understanding that you don't need to have the things that society. As long as you have a place to live, food, and like your friends or whatever, like your loved ones, that's the bare necessity, the foundation. But after that, you pave your own path, man.
I found that the happiest times that I've been is with people I know, just having fun.
Mm.
And I mean, most of that is happening at my lifeguard job. It's just we do campfires.
Mm.
We, I don't know, we go partying. But there's just that one group of people that I know so well, and I'm so close with. And just when I hang out with them, everything's okay. And I could hang out with them for the rest of my life, and I think I'd be happy. I think it's people.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's people that makes you happy 80% of the time.
Mm.
You can find another occupation, a hobby, something for people who are more solitary, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for me, who's more, well, social, I guess, just having the right people around me is all I need.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I think it just depends on how you define. I mean, this is how you define happiness, right? Because, like, for me, like my happiest moment is whenever I'm coming up with like some sort of thing for a film or for like an idea or something. It's like this. You get into a state where you start to, like almost talk to yourself, you know. And you're like pacing around your room, you're, like writing, and just like sticking shit on the walls or whatever. And like it's that frenzied state that I enjoy the most. You're like in your room alone, you're talking to yourself, and you're like, it's like the eureka moment where things it's like you expect a story to go one way, but it doesn't go that way, and it gets like it's even more interesting, you know, like by turning it around. For me at least, and
would you describe that as like a production flow state?
I think so. I really think so. And then it's just like time kind of completely. You don't even know. It's like the thing with the YouTube. You know, it's like it just. It's like oh shit. It's like 4 a.m. now. You know. I didn't
I
notice
get that sometimes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. But for what though?
The last time I got that, I set up the podcast channel.
Oh, nice.
I just worked for 2 days, basically, just to set up the YouTube channel, set up all the podcast stuff, get to know the thumbnail editor, get to know the video editor, get to know the video and the audio programs, get to know how the mic works, learn how to cut my footage, learn how to upload it the right way, create an Instagram account for it, and so on. And I did that in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I just worked through 2 afternoons straight. Didn't even notice it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, and it's hard to call that happiness, but for me, like that's the closest thing it is, you know, in a weird way. It's like almost like you found I wouldn't say it's purpose, but it's.
Oh yeah, purpose. Yeah, and that's another thing where people can find happiness.
Definitely, I think so too. It's interesting though. I feel like finding it is hard already, but acting on it while you found it is like an incredible thing.
Maintaining it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What might get you into that flow state the one day might not work the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the key with building. That's the key of that is to build a very strong habit. I think. You know, just consistency. Those are the two most important, especially in like artistic fields, because obviously there are going to be days where you don't want to do anything. I think it's like that. Those are the moments where you really want to hone in on that discipline. So,
yeah,
definitely, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's for me with gym and just having a healthy lifestyle. I just use habits.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically, and it's so good. Just makes everything so much easier. And even if I have a bad day, well, I'm good. I'll make the same food as I make every day, and I'll just work through it, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And just get that consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Once you build it, it's and breaking away from it is like the hard part then, in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is the best thing. It's a momentum, I think, for habits is so big. If you just stop it, and then it's like it's gonna be hard to restart sometimes.
Yeah. I think I've tried so many times that now I figured out it's not about uh, not stopping it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about not beating yourself up over stopping it.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you do that, you go into avoidance strategies.
Right.
And then you stop altogether because you're afraid, oh, damn, I missed 3 days. Ah, fuck it, whatever. And then you just, I'm gonna start at some point. And then what you can do is just you have a program. You just try as much as you can do with that program. You don't have to do all that program every day. If you miss some, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just do a little bit. And and even if you lose it, you just pick it back up again.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like half the program or something, you know that program though, and it's gonna come back. Just keep adding to that program, and at some point, it's just gonna be ingrained.
Yeah. It's. I think it's a really delicate balance. Because I agree. You know, if you beat yourself too hard especially at the beginning, you're never gonna make it. But if you're too lax on yourself, it's also not possible. So it's like everyone has that perfect medium they gotta find for themselves. Like you kind of come across as someone who's a bit more disciplined, so it's easier, I think, for someone like yourself to give yourself a bit more space. To, I guess
I'm not disciplined.
Okay, never mind then.
I think discipline is one of the hardest things for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And consistency as well. I just keep falling and I keep getting back up. What I do is basically I crash. I have a really bad afternoon or whatever, and by bad I mean I just stop playing video games. I don't eat.
Shit. Okay. Yeah.
I don't do anything. I just kind of sit in my cave and kind of crash. But the lower I fall, the higher I'll pick myself back up. And then I'll have a phase where I'm just super motivated, super disciplined. I fix my sleeping schedule and stuff. And the higher I go, the further the fall becomes. But that also means the further I fall, the further I can go back up again.
Okay.
And what might have been like not so much of a fall before, now a really far fall, but it also means that I can go far high up again. So like the trend kind of goes like this.
Yeah.
But like it keeps rising, right? Even the bad days at that point become good days.
Yeah.
So I can't maintain a discipline. Just can like learn how to stand back up really effectively, and I guess really early, and then have that energy and just push forward.
So you would say you're more resilient then, in terms of that?
Yeah.
Bounce back.
I bounce back.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. Interesting. Well, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think it's hard for you to, like, why do you think it's easy for you to go up even higher and not just stay in the bottom?
What do you mean?
Like, I would imagine that if someone, like let's just say, right, is in the bottom, they're playing video games, terrible sleep schedule, etc., they would just want to stay there, right? Why would they want to pick themselves back up? And I'm curious to hear, because you say you bounce back even higher. What is it that pushes you to jump back up again? Is there some sort of motivation? Do you know?
I self-reflect. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Okay. You had like a point.
How low have I come?
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm like, dude, do I really want to live this way? This is not even fun. I don't get any enjoyment out of this. Let's just go. Let's clean up this room.
Right.
Let's take a shower. Let's get a haircut. Let's go. Let's go to the gym tomorrow morning. Yeah.
So there's like an internal voice that comes out eventually.
Yeah. At some point, when I have enough of kind of letting myself go,
that's so interesting.
I get that energy where it just tells me, dude, get your act together.
Yeah.
And I do.
Do you think there might be something that like sparked that? I don't think that's very normal, to be honest. That's why I'm really curious about this. Like maybe when you were younger or something.
No, but I've always wanted to kind of improve myself.
Okay.
And I've always kept failing,
Mhm.
right? But I kept trying. I set up a new program for push-ups or handstand or whatever. It's mostly about physical exercise for me.
Right. Right.
Physical exercise, eating, sleeping, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Because studying has always kind of come easy for me. It's probably going to be a problem when I need to study for actual tests again instead for online exams.
Mhm.
I'll see. But it's always been about physical exercise, basically, and just general lifestyle, I guess. So I've set up those guidelines for me, and I follow them, and then crashes, and I stop doing this. But the intervals have become shorter now.
Mhm.
Every time I fell, I picked myself back up faster.
Okay.
Um, and at some point, I stopped losing my habits because I just picked them back up.
Right.
So now when I fall for like a day.
Mm.
Then I pick myself back up. At the highest a week, something, but that might be like a slow crash. I just stop few habits. I just don't feel so good. I'm hungover, whatever. But I usually get back into it, and now I don't even need to sink that low to pick myself back up again and get that energy. So I think it's just because I've tried so often to pick myself back up that it's become really easy for me to pick myself back up, and I keep improving that.
Do you think it's because you were comfortable with failing before? Because what I've learned, I met someone, a couple people.
I don't. I think that might be it.
Yeah,
I think you might be onto something.
because I what I've noticed are when people are afraid to fail, they just will not try, and so they're more comfortable being in that bad space than to pick themselves back up because there's that fear of failing. But it sounds like
I've learned to accept failure.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe I've learned that it's not bad if I fail. It's just it matters that I pick myself back up and power on.
100%. That's dope, man. That's really dope. I think that's actually something that should be taught a lot more. It's just like to be comfortable with fucking up. It's okay to fuck up. Like I really believe that. Like it's not even just it's okay. Like you should be fucking up. If you're not fucking up, it means you're not trying.
I think that's what we're not doing enough. Everybody's too afraid of everything.
Oh yeah.
Of be it talking to girls, joining a gym, joining like a class, learning a new language, developing a new skill. Everybody's just scared. And I guess just put yourself out there.
Yeah. Because it's like I think the thing is nobody cares about you, in a good way. Like if you fail, like I think there's a thing is that if I fail, people are gonna watch, they're gonna laugh at me. If a girl rejects me, they're gonna talk about it. It's like they're not gonna give a fuck after a couple days.
Yeah.
No one's gonna care. Like if you fail, it's fine. Like I really believe this. Just keep failing, and then eventually, like you will become good at something.
Yeah.
Eventually, just it has to be like that.
I think what helped me was to look at it objectively, or subjectively actually. I looked at it. How do I perceive other people that have failed? And I was like, I don't laugh at them. I'm actually glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're failing because that makes me less of a loser.
Nice. Goddamn, dude. Goddamn.
I mean, that sounds selfish, but then you project that onto other people. Other people won't be mad at you for failing. They'll be glad at you for failing.
Interesting. Okay.
So you do them a favor if you fail, but you can pick yourself back up. So it's not bad to fail. Other people won't look at you negatively for that. Like most people, most of society. Of course, like your closest people that really root for you, they're gonna go, damn. But for those people, you can stand yourself back up and they'll forgive you because they're your close friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And the wider public, they don't care about you.
Yeah,
They,
exactly.
if anything, they want to tear you down.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. But I truly just believe that people are too wrapped up in themselves. Yeah, maybe they might have a glancing thought about being happy that they're not the loser this time, but I just don't think anybody cares. In a
Oh,
good
yeah.
way,
Yeah,
in a great way. It's like, dude, nobody gives a fuck. It's like, just do what you want.
No, I wasn't like, I'm not happy for other people to fail.
Right.
But if anything, like, I'm more like happy for myself. Okay, now I don't have to live up to their standard.
Yeah.
It's not, yes, they failed. It's more like, okay, now I can take it easy.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
So, it's more like an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't go like, he failed. What a loser.
Right.
I hate that guy now.
Yeah.
No.
It's like a rush of relief a little bit, right? In a big
Yeah.
way. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, in general, having good karma and having good, like, rooting for everyone and kind of wishing well on everybody is a really good skill to have as well.
I agree.
Yeah. So when I just said that, I was like, oh, damn. Did I really think that way? I guess I kind of do.
No, it's true.
So when you see something like that about yourself, you got to kind of also ask yourself, how can I limit that behavior?
What do you mean by limit that behavior?
Maybe if I didn't have that subconscious feeling of relief when somebody else fails, instead of, well, pushing them to go on, help them pick themselves back up. I think in some ways I have that already, but you can always improve. So that might be an area where I can improve.
I don't think you can ever shake that off, to be honest. That rush of relief, because it's literally the only way to do that is to 100% dissolve your ego. That's the only way to do that.
I think it's not about perfection. It's only about noticing your imperfections and working around them.
Yeah, of course. You can work around it, but I don't think you can get rid of it entirely.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to.
Okay.
I'm just saying, man, it would be nice if I applied that to some situations and went like, can I help this person if I'm less self-absorbed?
Right.
I'm
just imagining you at the gym, like someone's like trying to do a bench press and they're failing. And you're like, fuck that guy. Just like watch the fucking part. It's just no, play, dude.
No, I mean that's a good example.
I know what you mean.
Like you're training with someone and they're just pushing on, and you kind of know from your gym experience they could do another rep, but they don't. So you're not going like, let's go, let's do another one. Just like, yeah, it's fine. You don't want them to overtake you or anything,
right?
Or get even stronger. But if you're less self-absorbed and you are really looking out for them, you could go, come on, one more rep.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I think I'm totally doing that in some parts. And I don't know, I think I'm a good gym partner. I don't know. But there's definitely going to be some areas where I'm lacking that. And, well, I might want to improve in that. I mean, it's not an imperative or anything.
Right.
I just want to notice these things and just kind of keep improving, keep being a better person.
I mean, identifying certain flaws and trying to build upon that is a really good trait. So
yeah,
that's fine. There's no shame to that.
And I mean, you can always be proud of yourself for what you've achieved. But then just look at yourself, and that's the beauty of it. You're never perfect.
Yeah.
So you can always improve.
Exactly. If you could be perfect, then what's the point? That's kind of a sad place to be, I think. At the end. There's a really great, it's actually part of Chess Gambit too, but it was like, if you've beaten the world champion in chess, this was the example, at 16, what do you do after that? You still have like 30 years. Like it's a really
you have a lot more than that.
Yeah.
In chess.
But it's like, yeah, if you are the grandmaster, you're 16 now, there's no more hill to climb for you.
Yeah.
You're done. I mean, it's a terrifying thought, actually. I've never thought of it that way before.
Well, you could say so, but then again, in that situation, I'd just go like, we're living in the most interesting video game there is, with the most features, with the most things to do. Why do you limit it to chess then?
Yeah, I guess, but dude, like, that's your passion, man. That's like your
That's
purpose,
your
dude.
passion, that's
You
what
know
you're
what I
good
mean?
at. But if there's no other hill to climb, look at another chain of mountains.
Yeah, of course. But of course, I mean, of
Must
course,
something
right?
else. You'll find happiness.
Yeah, I know. But I think in terms of like, okay, this is what I believe. I think that each one of us has something that we were born to do, right?
Yes.
And of course, we can find happiness in other aspects too. But that one purpose that we have to do, you cannot change that within a person. And if it means something like chess or building chairs or
Being a serial killer.
being a serial killer, sure, yeah. I mean, whatever.
Ted Bundy was born to.
Yeah, exactly. Or Jeffrey Epstein with some other stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
but
born
no.
to kill himself.
Born to kill, born to die. Yeah. No. So if you're born to play chess, and your purpose and your calling is to play chess, and you're the best chess player, yeah, you can be happy like doing rock climbing or mathematics or whatever. But I just don't think it'll amount to that feeling of beating that chess champion, and now you are that in that first place. There is nothing I think that can come close to that, and that's why I think it is a very scary thought, and that's why I truly believe that I think perfection is, it should always be out of your reach. It should never be in reach.
I think it's very dangerous to have that thought that it's all limited to that one profession.
Okay.
And all limited to that one thing, because you don't know if that was the end of your story or the highlight of your story. Maybe that's still to come. Maybe your purpose lies somewhere else. Maybe that's just like your origin story, and now the real story starts. You don't know. Maybe you're the chess champion, but you have that other like big lesson to learn. If you we're and not analogizing, what the fuck? We're building an analog to a movie here. Let's just say you thought your movie was your rise to chess champion, but maybe your movie is the chess champion needs to learn how to do this other completely different skill or survive in this environment, and like just get himself out there and do something that he's not comfortable with.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I agree with that. I think, but in that case, then chess wasn't your calling, right? And so
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And I think it's us.
Maybe chess and something else is their calling.
That's an interesting question. Could we have two?
I don't think so.
I don't think we can.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I think, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's just two different things. And it's not saying you can't be happy. It's not saying you can't feel content. I just think there's a very special feeling, especially when we're talking about the best of the best. Like, I'm not talking about like top 10 or like top 5. Like let's say a chef, right? If you're a top 10 chef, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if you're number 1, top 3, top 2, you know, there's nothing in the world for you but cooking there. You can't. If you're the grandmaster of chess, you can't just jump to like another. It's if you're maybe in your county. Then
oh shoot!
Oh, is it off?
It's off.
Damn, dude.
For a long time, I think. Well, it's fine.
Yeah, we just have to animate the rest of it. Man, these raisins are so fucking good, dude.
Wait, what the fuck?
Oh wait, they're not raisins.
They're not raisins,
dude.
no.
That's why I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, this better not be out of battery. That's quite full. Just guess why.
Ghost.
Because it's been off the whole time. Damn. I think the thought of having one thing consume your life is actually very scary. I don't want to be here on this earth for just one thing. I want to have the full experience, and I don't want to be limited to one calling. And I don't mean, and like maybe there can be one thing I'm known for or something, but I don't want my whole life to revolve around one thing. And I think that's the thing that, like, so many big athletes and so on. I think they're the best example of this. Their life revolves around one game, and I find that sad.
That's interesting, man. That's a really I it's go
So
on.
much smaller and less with less features than the wider game of life.
I agree that it's scary, and I agree that it's sad on a broad level, but I would say that there is such a beauty and magic to certain uh, people if they are truly the best of the best.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that they're good, it's that they've influenced millions of people. They have transcended the flesh, essentially. You know, when they die, it doesn't even matter. They've transcended life. You know, like the best example I can think of in filmmaking probably is Kubrick, um, Stanley Kubrick, right? Like this guy was a psychopath, man. He did like 100 takes of a door opening. Like imagine that. Like crew were like leaving, like no, we're gonna do another take of a door opening. That's it for The Shining. It's crazy. This guy's a psychopath. He like harassed his actors to make sure they were scared, both like in real life and in the movie. You know, like he would be canceled today. We can say that much for sure. But I mean, his movies have not had to completely changed. I think the notion of cinema now. And when I watched Space Odyssey with my friend Evan, like it just I watched that movie and, and in my mind I saw that it's just not a person, it's not a filmmaker. Like he is an offspring of cinema. He's a vessel that can like he can't do anything else. And when I was reading his biopic too, I'm not biopic, his biography, I was just like he went to school, he was a failure. All he did was take a camera around, take photos and stuff. And it's like this guy was not meant to do anything else but cinema.
Maybe some people are just meant to do one thing. I think that's very possible. 1 second, I'll just close the window because it's getting cold in here.
Oh
Yeah, maybe some people are just meant to do one thing, but I think for the vast majority of us, there's so much more to life. And most people are just going through life on autopilot. Still, I think that's even sadder.
Yeah, I agree.
I think those people that have their passion and everything, they're better off than 99% of the population, of course. But I think you can also experience life very fully and have an extraordinary life if you only realize that you can have that path as well. I think so few people actually realize that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not advocating for that kind of lifestyle. I think it's good to have that, and I think that's like to me that's like the reality. But it's everyone can choose their life, and I think it's like what you're saying. And this kind of sound almost contradictory, but despite knowing that if you have a higher calling, this is going to give you this fuller purpose or whatever, I think you should still choose to live life beyond just one passion, because you are totally right. Like there is so much more than just your passion. There's a I don't know. Have you seen Soul?
No, I've not.
Dude, Soul talks about this completely. It's a really good movie because it doesn't like it could have gone really cliche and done like I'm gonna spoil a little bit of it, but this whole like oh yeah like your passion is your purpose, but it goes so much deeper than that. It's like no, like life is about living. That's really what it is. Just appreciate every second because it's gonna again cliche that you only have it once, but dude, every second that's gone is it's fucking gone. You know, so like don't worry about things that are too grand and just be so grateful that you have. Honestly.
I think that's another notion that I thought of that is really in line with this. It's about making a difference is not about changing the world. It's about changing your world.
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it.
It's about changing your surroundings positively. And that might be your country, but that also might be, I don't know, your sports club. That might be your online community. I don't know. Whatever, right? That might be your friend group. That might just be your little farm in the middle of nowhere. Just taking that one area of life, whether it be grand or very small, and just changing it for the better. Just in general, doing more good than bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well. And when your scope is smaller, you can spend time to do other things, like fucking just go on vacation or something, which I think is super important to be honest. So it's a really hard. I've been thinking about this so much when I was in college because I think film is one of those professions where it's like, yeah, you're either great or you're a complete failure, you know. But
Yeah.
obviously, I learned now that's not true. Like I met so many people who are living in like really great houses. They're like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I play to Greece next week and then New York the week after that. It's like, you know, I'm not famous, but you know, I make good money, and it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, so it's possible to do that with film, and then it's like understanding. It's like, do you want to sacrifice this life to live forever after you die, like Kubrick, for example, or do you want to live a life? And I
Yeah.
think you should choose to live a life, even though it might not. That might be even more selfish, to be honest, but I think it's worth
No,
it.
I think you should live your life. You shouldn't. I think there's so many people that are just convincing themselves that this is their calling, and then they don't live life. But maybe they just convinced themselves, and it wasn't actually their
That's so
calling.
true. That's so true as well.
There's only one Ronaldo. There's only one Messi. There's only so many people who can be really good in soccer, for example. I mean, soccer is a bad example because there's so many players.
Right.
But then there's only a few really known directors in Hollywood. There's only so many really known scientists. There's only so many politicians that are really famous and have so much, um, uh, well, that are so known.
Yeah.
Have so much impact. But there's so many people that have convinced themselves they're gonna be that big politician. There's probably so many people doing podcasts out there thinking they're the next Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And they think this is their calling. So I think there's so many people trying to get famous, trying to force their calling.
Yeah. Man, that's why there's a really great author called Charles Bukowski. Do you know him?
No.
Very famous American author, and his backstory is fascinating. He was actually from, I think it was from Austria or Germany, and he immigrated to the U.S. Bullied for his accent, bullied for his outfits. His parents beat him. He had like a skin disease, and so he was just like terrible childhood. And then he went to writing really young,
Yeah.
14, yeah, to start writing. No publications whatsoever. Like everyone thought his writing was trash, and he did this after he graduated all over like for years, nothing. And he worked at a post office because he made no money, you know, from his writing. He just kept on writing, and he only made it when he was fucking 50 years old. So he wrote for 50 years basically. Anyway, so he became famous. Now he's like this huge, you know, author. Everyone, you know, has loved him. On his tombstone, there's 2 words, and it says "Don't try." And it's like, why did you say that? Does it sound like pessimistic for someone who's trying so hard? No, what he's trying to say is like, don't try if you're trying to fool yourself into thinking it's your passion. Because if you really love it, you wouldn't even try. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true. Like if you love podcasts, if you love being a football player, you shouldn't try to go to the football pitch to practice. You should just want to.
Yeah.
Like this guy didn't try to be a writer. He just loved writing. And I think that's like the fucking most pure way to find your calling is what do you actually love to do? What do you do and time goes by?
Yeah.
That's your calling right there. It could be fucking streaming video games, dude. Like if that's your calling, then do it.
Yeah.
I think so, man.
I mean, that might be more dopamine centric.
Maybe. Like if heroin's your calling, you know what I mean? Or like weed or some shit.
Yeah. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I think a good rule of thumb is do something so that even if it doesn't succeed, you still get something out of it and it's positive. So, for example, for this podcasting, I put a lot of effort in it. But then again, I get to have these long form conversations that I just enjoy no matter what. And I think that get me so much further, anyways. So I don't even need to try and get famous or anything with this. I'm fine with just a few people listening. I'm fine with just having these conversations. And that's okay. Even if it doesn't get anywhere. And at least I'll have experience in editing, in making thumbnails, in how YouTube works, in I guess discussions. And I've gotten to know those people that I had those discussions with way more.
Mhm.
So, in general, this is just an absolute win.
Mhm.
Getting famous would be a bonus.
Right.
But I'm not doing this to get famous.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I like discussion.
What do you want? Like, I'm so curious because I know you're studying biomedicine, right?
Yeah.
What is because out of all the people I've met when I was talking with them in Nabisco and even just people I don't know a lot of them too well, but you seem like someone who's very interested in people, like
Yes.
truly interested in people and experience. So what was the idea of going into biomedicine for yourself?
I was good in chemistry. I was good in biology. I never had to study for that.
Okay.
Came easy. And I was like, I don't know what to do yet.
Mhm.
I don't want to spend any money. So I'll go study for free in Sweden.
Mhm.
And I'll do the stuff that I can, that I'm interested in.
Mhm.
I was always decently interested in bio and in chemistry. And I think that's what helped me grasp it so easily. Because I actually cared about it and I actually understood it. So I was like, let's just do this and see where it leads. And I'm a firm believer that life kind of guides you along and gives you chances. And I was just like, you just gotta kind of let yourself float. And if you see a good branch, you just hang on.
Do you have any, like, especially after with the podcast and stuff, do you have anything that you think you're gravitating towards?
Oh yeah, like so what I do is I just form dreams basically. I form visions of the future that could be happening. So for example, for me, I have that vision of going on a 1 year vacation after my bachelor's, just going around the world, visiting people, going surfing and that kind of stuff. That's one of my dreams. That might not come true if I you don't know what's going to happen in a year.
Right, of course.
I don't know if I'm going to have enough money, if I'm going to be needed somewhere, if I'm going to meet some people, if I'm going to make better plans, if I have a significant other that I want to stay with. I don't know that yet. And I'm fine with that. I just make plans that might come true.
Yeah.
So I have something to look forward to. But if I find a better way, I'll take that. So my plan is to finish my master's. Probably in something that is related to lifestyle and nutrition and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So getting to know what the perfect lifestyle, the perfect nutrition, not perfect but good, so I can coach people and get that knowledge to other people and help them improve their life on a health level. So I do want to work with people.
Right.
And maybe I'm gonna go into communication.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So like communicating that science to people, because I think there's a great divide between people and the actual science. So I could see myself, becoming a communicator for that.
I think this is gonna be really helpful then, knowing YouTube video content.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
so
very,
this
very valuable
only
skill to have.
furthering my cause, but dude, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow there's gonna be that one person that I get to know that's gonna offer me that internship in that one company that does a completely different thing, but it just feels right, and I might go with that.
Dude, I totally agree. I think it's like having a plan, but being totally okay adapting, improvising on the go. But I think that the key is having a plan. Like I think, in the sense of like what you're saying about floating down the river and life is your branch and hold on to it, it's super true. But I'm not saying you're like this because I know now that you think it sounds like you have like an idea. But if you're just gonna kind of meander through the river of life, so to speak, and hope that some sort of branch will magically appear, if you have no vision of what branch you want to grab onto, it's gonna be kind of a waste, And I think personally, it's about having at least a direction, and then just kind of waiting for those branches to come. Waiting for those branches to come.
I think it's super helpful to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
it's
my
super
God.
helpful to first orient yourself. Basically, the analog would be to fly up, get a vision of all the possible branches that you could hang on to in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, let's let go of that metaphor actually, because I think the important thing is travel.
Yeah.
Traveling, but also working. Getting yourself out there in ways that you haven't as a child when you're just growing up, and just working a 9 to 5 job, maybe in a bar, on, I don't know, a construction site or whatever. Just doing a simple job before you start to study, and just get that perspective on life.
Yeah.
And you might meet new people that are telling you about crazy new stuff. You might see new places that you might want to move to. You might see new professions or new jobs that you think are perfect for you. But if you stay in that same town that you grew up in, just go to the university that your dad went to, the likelihood of you finding that thing, that being that is that thing that you really want to do, is very low.
Yeah, definitely, I totally agree. But I would even add on to that one last thing. Meeting people, working, and then I think definitely like delving into the arts. It could be any art. It could be music. It could be reading. It could be film, painting. Like that's something I've been doing a lot since lockdown. Honestly, just watching documentaries about architecture, fashion, just different, or even cooking, like just different art forms. Because I think really good art isn't like you're looking at an art. It's a reflection of your own beliefs. Because that's what surrealism and abstract art is. When you go to a modern art museum and you see like paint just splattered on a canvas, it's not like, oh, is that a person? Is that a tree? It's like, no, no, no. What do you see when you look at that? Every single person's gonna have a different approach. And some people think, oh, it's just paint. That's what they think. That's a representation of what they think. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to go a bit deeper and really look at this painting, analyze it, understand, ask yourself, why is it, here?
Still think they're overpriced though.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a whole conspiracy. I don't know if it's a conspiracy anymore about how it's all for like money laundering. Because they're just assets that you don't have to tax for. Well, you do, but not as much, and they increase in value so much. But it's just a shame that those are the things that have to be targeted. It could be something else, but yeah. But I don't know, man. I find it so fascinating, and by traveling, you meet other people, and they can tell them about their experiences. But I think by visiting museums and challenging yourself artistically, you get to find out more about yourself.
Yeah.
You have an internal you open voices in your own mind, and you have an internal dialogue with yourself about how certain emotions or colors or sounds make you feel. And I think that's such a beautiful thing.
That's something that I have not really experienced yet.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Like, because you seem like an open-minded guy, so it's like it'll be uncomfortable because in the beginning you're like, this is such stupid shit. But when you really sit down and think about it, it's like there is some magic here.
Yeah.
There is some magic here. Yeah.
I can totally see that. Yeah. Maybe I do need to get myself out there more. Maybe there is some paths that I've just not seen because of that.
Dude, it's eye-opening, man. Like, because I remember when I fucking went to my parents, when we were growing up, we traveled a lot and we'd go to museums and shit. And I used to hate them. I was like, this is such a waste of time. And slowly, it was like when I started wanting to do film and that kind of stuff, I was just like, dude, like when you go into a museum, like you're entering a whole new world, man. You're not on Earth anymore. You're like in your own world. If you put earphones in, you're just walking around the museum, like you're teleported to this alien planet of just ideas of and you read little plaques, of course, or whatever. But even without that, you're totally teleported to your own world. You can choose. It's so beautiful. It's amazing.
That's crazy. It's something I can't relate to, but I kind of want to. So I might try.
DMT, dude.
I'm kidding. Do you even see the paintings anymore then?
Like you aren't even in a museum. You're just in your room the whole time. You didn't even go out of the room. No.
Have you ever?
Never, man. Never. I've never done DMT. heard it's easy to make it though. Apparently, like you can actually get all the like ingredients legally and make it in your room. It's super easy apparently.
Okay.
No, I don't want to give you any ideas. But...
No, look, I'm fine. I'm fine without that. For now, I don't know. Maybe one day.
Yeah,
I think psychedelics are on my bucket list.
I forgot you've never done it, dude. I'll give you a tab. I'm not even. I have like 2.5 tabs in my room, dude. I guess my mom's not gonna watch it anymore.
Bro, it's
When you're ready.
I'll see.
When you're ready.
I'll
dude.
see.
Yeah. Damn, man.
No, like definitely. I feel more comfortable with mushrooms.
Okay.
I want to try that one time, but I'm in no hurry, man. I'm in no hurry. I know all of that stuff is on my bucket list.
Mhm.
But I think I'm getting my beliefs challenged enough. Um, it's definitely on my bucket list, though.
Dude, I can't wait. If you're ever doing shrooms, dude, you gotta call me, man. I just want to hear what you're saying, cause, bro, like I think acid is one thing, but shrooms, when you do it, like you start asking shit like, why do families exist? Like you ask so many questions and nothing. The fabric of society just completely shifts away. And
Your predisposition, like your what society has taught you,
yeah,
as normal.
everything fades, and it's a really scary place because you're like you see a pencil and you're just like, oh my god, I could literally kill someone right now.
Yeah.
And I could just like that pencil, like I could just do it. And now of course I'll go to jail and stuff, but like it's still possible. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it, obviously. But...
I'm the only person here, man.
I know. But that's what it's like. So I was doing it with a really good friend of mine. Dude, shout out.
You killed him with a pencil?
No. Just did, oh man, I'll never forget this. It was like a couple of days after we graduated. It was like fucking virtual graduation, so it was an L. And we just were like, fuck it, let's do some shrooms. Just walk around our campus, you know. We've been here for the last 3 years, like, you know. And I'm not even joking, man. This guy, like, an hour into the trip, he took out his wallet. And he's a very spiritual guy, right?
Yeah.
He threw it on the ground. All his money credit cards. He's like, I don't need this anymore. And I'm like, dude, you are gonna fucking need your wallet, man. Like, pick up your fucking. He's like, no, like, it's all like a construct. Like, it's just paper. And then if you think about it, all I do is buy things. And if I buy things, like, I have my parents protecting. Like, I don't need any of this shit. Like, it's all useless if you think about it. And I'm like, I know, but like, dude, you're gonna regret this when you're sober, man. And we had a fucking like almost like a fight because he just kept on like throwing away his cash in his wallet, and it truly makes you question so deeply the value of all these things. It's terrifying, dude.
I mean, it's true. We don't need most of that.
We don't. He's right, but that's like, you do though. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Nah.
I think the way we live as a society is not sustainable.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not talking about the climate, not talking about pollution. That's another topic. I think the way we live generally is very deteriorating for our mental health, and for our general health.
Mm.
Of course, it's bad for the climate as well. Of course, it's bad for the planet and everything we share it with. But I think we're just like we're not doing good on ourselves,
yeah,
by living this way. We live in like just look at these places. You get tiny rooms and it's just room next to room next to room in like a giant termite mound of humans.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
And everything is just wired together with plumbing and electricity. It's kind of like a big organism.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's got its own circulation system and everything. But to get away from that, again, I think we're living in a way that is not good for us.
Yeah.
We're designed to live another way, and I think we could make this happen. How we're living right now is destructive to, well, our very being.
I would say that it's like kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. The template set out for us is that destructive nature, but I think you can choose in our society to live in a more healthy way.
I really think so.
Yeah, you can. But because we have that choice, I think we live in a good society. I think the template set forth by this, by our whatever, is negative, but I think we can.
I mean, it makes society function efficiently as a giant superorganism.
It does, and also the alternative would be pretty
Chaos
scary.
and anarchy.
Exactly. So that's the thing we got to think, right? It's like, yes, this is not the best outcome, but we have the choice. It's up to the individual to choose to live a healthier, better, more spiritual life.
That's a very egoistic point of view, though.
What do you say so?
Because, well, for us it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
but for this to be possible for us, other people have to not do it. If everybody,
so true, actually.
if everybody, well, kind of started thinking that way, this society would basically collapse. If it's in a good or in a bad way.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we do that, we would change the template of society.
Right?
Yeah. And that's fine. But the fact that we can choose, if we all decided to live in a better world, then we will live in a better world. But we still have that option to choose that. There are certain societies where you can't have that choice, right? Like in very autocratic countries.
Yeah.
Or some parts of the Middle East. Like if you're a woman, for example, right? Like you can't do it, but
oh yeah, I'm all for this, and I'm all for our freedoms. I'm all for. I think we're living in a really good society.
Okay.
I really like those laws of liberty and, well, not that much authoritarianism that they usually are.
Yeah.
Not right now. In Sweden, I guess. But I think we take it for granted too much.
I totally agree.
I think we're on the verge of losing this.
That's so true, dude.
And I'm not referencing the lockdowns. I'm just referencing in general this attitude of fear that people live in. They're controlled by fear, be it for coronavirus, be it for terrorism, and so on. And they just start accepting more and more authoritarian measures. Be it the security checks at the airport, be it lockdowns, and so on. And one of those things is fine. But these things keep stacking up.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's the next thing.
Yeah.
It was 9/11, now there's the pandemic. You don't know what's coming next.
It's almost like, this is going to be a very hot take, it's almost like not deep down, but like the need for a lot of the general humans is authoritarianism.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. it's man, that is a hot ass take, especially somewhere in fucking Europe. But
no, I think
dude, it's a hot. I mean, I agree, but I think it's a hot take, dude.
Actually, no.
You don't think so?
I think we don't have one.
What do you mean?
I don't think we have like a natural take. Dude, I think society moves in waves. I think people who've lived under authoritarian rule will thirst for more democracy, more liberty. And people who, like, basically what you have, you want to change. You're not happy with what you have right now.
I see, the grass is greener on the other side, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thoughts. I want to just make it clear, if this video does blow up for some reason, I'm not for authoritarianism. I think it's the most important thing ever. What I said earlier, which was like, people are inclined to it, is because for the mass majority of human history, we've lived under kings, dynasties, or religion, right? Like,
Yeah.
and things like freedom of speech was just not present in any capacity of life. For example, if you insulted God like 100 years ago, and like,
Yeah.
you'd get fucking killed probably. I don't fucking. I mean, in certain countries probably would be, even now.
Yeah.
Honest, right? So
now we do.
Yeah, exactly. In certain countries, so there's a lot of so it's a very new concept. The liberties that we have now are so fresh, and the chaos, the fear that you're talking about. Should I stop talking?
No, it's fine. It's still recording
Oh,
here.
cool. So the chaos and the fears that you're talking about is directly because we are given too much responsibility
Yeah.
for our own actions. We no longer have to wait for a king. We no longer have to put that on a king or a god. We are the ones who are now responsible as individuals. And to many people, I'm not saying for us, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but for many people, I think on a very deep level, it's a terrifying prospect.
Yes.
And that's why I don't think this is a good thing, but I think this is, and I would be happy to be proven wrong, but that's why I believe that human beings, in general, they need to be controlled by something, be it a god or like a ideology or a ruler. I don't think it's the good thing, but I think the outcome is this: the fear, the paranoia.
Yeah. I think there might be a solution to this.
Mhm.
To basically create an ideology that is as foolproof as possible. Basically, an ideology that is kind of akin to a religion, but it's more like you identify yourself with, I guess, liberty and, well, free thinking. And the biggest values are always question yourself, always think things through, self-reflect, try and do good, objective good, try and not try and work for liberty, for goodness, and so on.
But what is objective good? That's
You
the
see what I
problem.
mean?
That's and every ideology would say that theirs has an objective good, right? That's the hard part, you know.
But I think when you self-reflect and when you trust your gut feeling, you know what's good and what's evil.
I think you're a lot more optimistic than I am about people. I don't think that, dude. I think if they trust their gut feeling, they would do some terrible things.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I think love is a powerful thing.
It is, but
and the love for other people is a very powerful thing. And I think you're underestimating people.
maybe I am. I hope I am. But I really don't think so, man. I really think that there's a lot of people who aren't used to being challenged, I guess, and their love for themselves is far outweighs their love for their. And even if their love for themselves accept their family or their community, they will not go so far to say for everybody, which I think is the key for everything. But I don't find it as common, having traveled to all these different countries and met all these different people. I've become jaded in that, honestly.
Yeah. No, look, what I think is that there's so many people in need of ideology. That's why there's so many people now in the West that cling to extremist point of views. I think either far right or far left. Especially, well, some far left people that really defend their point of view and are really extreme about some things, and some far right people, but they're deeply Christian most of the time. Not in Europe, but in the US, I guess.
Yeah.
They have Christian fundamentality. But I think what's really missing is like one ideology for free thinkers of Western society, I think. Because most of those people tend to not really be Christian. Like of our generation.
Yeah.
Nobody is really practicing Christian anymore.
Right.
But what about you just replace that with an ideology of free thought, liberty, and just trying to do good on an individual level. trying to, well, basically karma. Doing good and receiving good.
Well, I think the devil's in the details, right? Like, for example, even just that, because I agree with what you're saying, but I think
maybe we need like our own religion, so to say.
I think so. I think that's the part I agree with, and I think what you're getting at is really true. Like, I think we do need to have some sort of blueprint ideology to follow by, something open and almost vague in the sense of it's about liberty, free thinking,
building a better society.
Yeah, but I think it becomes very complicated when you start to use certain words like objective good or building a better society or these kind of things because then people, or even like doing good for yourself to do good unto others, because what does doing good mean? It's such a complicated
you need to specify these things, and I think
exactly.
Of course it's gonna be really hard to capture. But I think we could have so much benefit of developing an ideology around just free thought and acceptance and just general positivity. Because I think if you don't have that one unifying ideology, people are gonna splinter up. And yeah, I think we are actually seeing that ideology.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're seeing that ideology, but there's not like that one unifying religious text or whatever that other ideologies have. There's not that one theory that other ideologies have. It's just a lot of individuals, and they all believe in rationality. They all believe in like kind of standing up for yourself, and just doing good and being responsible.
Yeah, I think that is like, it doesn't even need a scripture, and I think having scripture or a theory will dilute it.
Really?
I think so.
I think it could also help it though in attracting more people who don't like to think for themselves.
That's true, but I think the moment you have scripture, it becomes dogmatic.
Okay.
It becomes hard to then people, because I think the core about this ideology, and if we're on the same page with this, is that you should even challenge this ideology. You should be open to having that. And I think by having the scripture, it becomes too solid. I think the fluid state of this ideology is what separates it from all the other ones that are more.
But
poisonous.
does the fluid state prevent it from gaining more ground?
It does, but I think it's a worthy sacrifice.
You think so?
I think so. I think if we start to make it, because the intention is good, right? To have like something to you can catch other people, but I think there will be people who will slowly take advantage of it, and it'll be corrupted just like every other ideology with scripture. Because everyone that has scripture has ended up this like dog shit.
Yeah.
Every single one with scripture, because it just becomes twisted. Words get taken out of phrase. They certain things mean this, certain things, interpretations are different. People actually end up getting killed. But I think having a fluid state where it's something as vague as possible, like you've got feeling, positivity. I think that's actually.
Do you think it's ever gonna go anywhere though?
I think so.
Like,
I think so. Like you mentioned yourself, like it's getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
And I think there isn't even a need. I think it's you don't even have to subscribe to the ideology. Like you know someone when they're in it. Yeah. When you talk to them, you're a person who's probably following XYZ ideology because you're just the way you talk, the way you listen. You know what I mean? And it's common. I think it's becoming more common.
Yeah. I think it's just people you can have really good conversations with, and that are not as laden down by a respective other ideology.
Yeah.
That do not that have an open mind and don't revert back to the same old talking points.
Yeah.
That they won't cross.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Again, I think it's something you can kind of tell when you talk to someone. Just their attitude. You feel like you don't have to walk on eggshells.
Yeah.
And I actually find it's really common in when I went to Stockholm here. Like a lot of people here are very open.
Oh yeah.
Talking about some pretty tough discussions.
Totally. I completely agree.
How was it like in Germany?
I think it's the same. Um, I think it's getting harder though because well, generally, especially in these times when there's a lot of people who get labeled conspiracy theorists and everything,
Mm-hmm.
you can easily fall into a bracket like that
Right.
if you hit even remote talking points of that. And what I like to do is to relativize those talking points. I go like, these talking points have some traction, and let me just explain to you why these you should listen to these talking points at least and consider them.
Right.
But once you tell people to basically see the whole picture and see the view of the other side, I'm not saying the other side is correct. I'm just saying see their view, understand why they have that. You get camped in with them.
Mm.
So I feel like this is starting to gain traction, and I think even more so in Germany than here. I guess the US would be way more out there.
Out there, as in.
I think the US is more about well, racial relations.
Yeah.
It's very focused on that right now.
Oh yeah.
In Germany, it would be more about, I guess, lockdowns and conspiracy theorists and that kind of thing. Right now, but so you can't mention race, any deviation of like the norm in terms of race in the US, and you can't go in any other direction than total compliance with like COVID rules and stuff in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I guess it's it's more complicated than in Germany. It sounds like, because that's ideas, whereas race is like you can see it. Like,
I guess, yeah, but I'm also not that knowledgeable about the US. I guess I just know a lot of the talking points of, well, the political sides. I don't know what normal people think.
man, I don't obviously, like, my experience there. Like, I was in LA in a fucking film school with, like, art students, so they're all
Yeah.
most of them are pretty far left, which is cool. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I met some really interesting people there, and definitely learned a lot just by talking with the people there. But there's a lot of things that I feel like, yeah, you feel like you're walking eggshells sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even though you want to just talk and explore the possibility of the other side, even just by suggesting that you're candid with the other side. And I have a platform because I'm a minority. But I read this thing about Asian people. I think it's so fucking funny. They call them Schrodinger's POC, because you don't know if they're white adjacent or like people of color, because they're in this middle. It's only until you open them on where the situations. I love that phrase, Schrodinger's POC. But
oh god.
So I was in an interesting position when I was there. But damn, did I tell you about the thing about me being called a white supremacist when I was there?
Really?
Dude, I was called a fucking white supremacist, and I had to send a photo. Not send a photo. I had to. I joined again the next. It was for an organization, and they basically thought I was a white supremacist because I'm not even joking. During the interview, they asked me, what's your biggest strength and weakness, and I said, I think for me, my biggest strength and weakness is the same. It's being open-minded, and it's a very cheesy answer, but I said basically like it's a weakness because you can't stay firmly on one side, but it's a strength because you can see different perspectives.
Yeah.
And I gave an example of like when I was in Malmo, I spoke with a white supremacist. I had a conversation with a white supremacist.
Yeah.
And we actually had a pretty civil conversation. Like, I'm not white, but I still was able to kind of understand his perspective. I don't agree with it. I think it's very wrong, obviously, but
you just want to understand the guy.
I wanted to understand. I'm like, how could you believe in something like that? But I didn't want to insult him or anything. And I learned a lot. I learned it was just fear. But anyway, so I told this to the interviewer, and I shit you not, I guess they misheard me or some shit, but they thought I was a white supremacist.
Did they know you were Asian?
I guess not. I guess
you didn't speak to them face to face.
No, I did, but they had to go to like a review board, and they had an application.
Oh.
I don't know if my photo was on the application. My nationality is Swedish, like.
Oh, right.
You put a couple things together, and it's like I can understand why they might have assumed I'm white, but I'm not. I'm not white. And so that was just an example of how absolutely ridiculous, how toxic the landscape is just by even mentioning that you had a conversation
with the other side.
With the other side, you are labeled as the same as the other side, and
it's such a huge problem.
It's terrible, dude.
Because it divides society.
It totally does.
It hinders dialogue.
Yeah.
If you even associate with the other side, you're on the other side.
Dude, I was so fucking mad, man. You have no idea, dude. I was like, are you serious, dude?
And I think that's why people that are so like free thinking and just question everything and whatever, what I would call that movement that I described, often get mislabeled towards the right. Because they also associate with those people and have conversations with them.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And then they end up being boxed in with them, and the left people won't talk to them anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though these people, I'm talking about, I guess, like Joe Rogan here, for example. The guy supports Bernie Sanders as president.
Yeah.
He's like quite far left leaning, except I guess on gun rights or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess he's like left libertarian.
Right.
But he gets like called right wing all the time.
Oh yeah.
And even for me, I do think there's huge problems with, I guess, like race as well in the US. There probably are. I don't know. I'm not living there. Like I would agree with that. It's just not like I want to have discussions about this with everyone.
Yeah.
I don't want to label anyone.
Yeah.
And same with like I guess lockdowns. That's a little bit different for me.
Right.
I'm a little bit more okay. We might be fucking ourselves over here. But like then again, vaccines. I'm on your side. I just don't like people who go, it's completely good and everybody who's against it is bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I just see the other side and I know what motivates them.
Yeah.
And
if you don't see the other side, you're never gonna fix the problem. There will always be two sides then.
Yeah. And I think my problem is just that once I start talking to those people that are very far on that one, I'll just call it mainstream side, which is mostly left in today's society, I just start having those, I guess, right-wing talking points because I just automatically assume the position of the counter-argument.
Interesting.
Even though I don't necessarily believe in it.
Oh, I see. That's fair.
I just start giving them different talking points to challenge their perspective.
And then they would think that you
and
are...
they sometimes misconceive me as being way more right-wing than I am, when I'm actually quite left-wing.
Right.
I just like to challenge talking points.
Yeah, but that's like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, people take that as if you are defending the values of the right, whereas no, you're just simply challenging.
Like, I'm not defending them, I'm just bringing them up.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Like, what do you have to say about this? Because you obviously haven't considered this.
Yeah. The thing is this, like, at least with the States, and I had a conversation with someone who was genuinely, like, she was black, and I was asking her a lot of the same questions, you know, and she gave me some really good insight. She was just like, we're tired of talking. We've been talking for so long, and no one has heard us.
Yeah.
And I can understand, I can understand that because I haven't gone through that, but I can sympathize with that. And I can see why they're so frustrated. Because I can, like, dude, like, it's so fucked what's going on in terms of race. Like, how certain minorities are treated in America. The history of that is...
Oh, yeah, the history is fucked.
And even to this day, like, there's still so many injustice in, like, the prison system, whatever. There's so many problems with the U.S. in terms of race. So I can totally understand why. But I think it's like... At the core, though, if you're still unable to have a conversation at this level, I can sympathize and understand, and for certain groups, I don't even have any problem with that because they've gone through so much historically. But for other people, especially like, let's just say like white people in the U.S., like, you should be at least open to dialogue.
Yes,
you should at least be open to dialogue. Like, if you're like, okay, if you genuinely have been affected like heavily, okay, fine. That's fine. You don't have to go through the burden because it can be sensitive. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, if you're like a privileged white guy in LA and you're like an SJW and you don't want to talk about like race and stuff, like you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to. I think. So yeah.
Um, I think what I've heard right now, I think the problem is there's not one right side.
Yeah.
Like the right political spectrum in the US is very broad.
Yeah.
And there's those moderate right leaning people that a lot of people listen to. I guess like Ben Shapiro and those kind of dudes.
Mm.
They seem sensible. They make sense and they are not racist.
Yeah.
I don't think they're racist. I genuinely don't think they're racist. But there's probably a lot of racist people that voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And they might also listen to Ben Shapiro and go like, yes, dude. And they just take him as an excuse.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of people that are just very against like the non-dialogue attitude of the left.
Yeah.
And that are just like genuinely against the policy. And then there's those people that are like, fuck immigrants and
genuinely.
I think, and the problem is they get lumped together.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some people who go like, what's going on in this country is fucked. And I don't care what skin color you are.
Mm.
I just don't want like rich billionaires fucking us in the ass.
Yeah.
And then the left side, like, so basically the moderate right side, which is actually, in my opinion, not the right side, but just something else entirely. Or it's the real right side, and then there's the racists, and like I guess the not racists, but like more simpleton right leaning people, and they're like America, fuck yeah, and America to Americans and everybody else out. But then there's like the moderate right,
Yeah.
and they say equal opportunity for everyone. I guess hard work should pay off. If somebody works hard, they should be able to make it. And well, you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not a stupid thing to say. So they're against classism in general. The left is against racism.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I agree with the sense that the moderation in both parties are fine, and but I think it's, to be really honest, man. Like I was really only exposed to like the left people in LA, so I have no idea what like right leaning people are like. To be honest with you, because I would imagine that a lot of them are probably pretty normal. Just like there's a lot of left people who are pretty like like I'm also very left, and etc. But I've never met them, so I don't know. But I would imagine there is. Fuck, I was gonna say something that was gonna be kind of interesting about all this, but I fucking. Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro. When you said him, I remembered it. Dude, okay. The thing is with Ben Shapiro, man. Like, I don't think you're a racist if you watch him, but I think he's a dumbass, dude. I'll give you my favorite example. I don't know if you've seen this video. He basically talks about how rap isn't music. Have you seen this, dude?
No.
Dude, his argument is so stupid. He's like, I think rap isn't music. It goes on about how like music is made out of 5 factors and rap doesn't have any of them, and therefore it's not music. And I don't know. I watched that, and he talks about how like Hollywood or like movies is like extreme left propaganda, and I'm like, I can kind of see that, but it's like propaganda is a really strong word, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I remember because I haven't heard of Ben Shapiro's name in a long time, and then besides him singing WAP as well, it's like I don't know. I think I'm convinced that he's playing a character. Like I don't think he's a real. I don't think he's like actually like this.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
I've been quite interested in the shit that he had to say, and in the end, I think he's not right on a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But he's a very logical person.
I haven't seen enough of his stuff to say.
He's a very logical person, and he makes a lot of sense. It's just some of those things I don't agree with. But he's very convincing. He's got a lot of, well-structured arguments, and you shouldn't dismiss the guy.
Oh yeah, sure. You shouldn't dismiss anyone.
Yeah. But then again, I think the thing that hinders him, he's, quite strict in his religious beliefs.
Exactly. I think that's a big.
I think that's the biggest thing holding the guy back. That's why he's, for example, against gay marriage, and that those things that are common sense and not your business. Because otherwise, he's just like, leave me alone, small government, very libertarian type. But then he goes like, no gay marriages, and no like drugs and anything.
Yeah.
And like harsh prison sentences, I guess, something.
I just think it's crazy that he goes like, facts don't care about your feelings, but then he talks about how like Moses parted the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm like, how can you be
exactly
consistent with that? You know?
Like that's the problem. He's got that religious fallacy.
Yeah, it makes.
And I think that just kind of fucks over his viewpoints, because I think he's got some interesting stuff to say, but then again, he also dismisses all the race stuff and goes like, no, this is not an issue. Everything is about class, which is a very easy argument, and it's easy to make, but if you look at it, it's not fully true.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think the whole race aspect is overrated.
What do you mean?
I think it's more about class. It's just about, it used to be about racism, and now it's about certain ethnic groups just being very poor, and that perpetuates as a vicious cycle.
True, but I think in a weird way, because I agree, I think it was because of racism that made class.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. I totally do agree with that. Yeah. I think this is founded on racism of the past, mostly.
Right.
And that might also create some racism of the future if you have a disproportionate amount of one ethnic group being poor, and poor people are statistically more criminal. That doesn't mean that this ethnic group is more criminal. It's just that poor people are more criminal.
Right, exactly.
But that it has the effect of that ethnic group in general being more criminal. Cause correlation. And the police is gonna label them as more criminal.
Right.
Because they just they're out there, they don't want to get shot, they want to do their job. So they're gonna go through the easy way of labeling people through their race.
Yeah, which again, that's the reason why, like, even though it's like the bleeding of the previous racism, it's still so alive and well today. I feel like racism in the U.S.,
but I think
it's gotten better.
This problem would go away if you didn't have the class divides between different races. If different ethnic groups were equally well off or equally bad off, I don't think you'd see that distinction after some time.
That's good. Okay, that's good.
After some time, because those police officers that are used to more criminality from a certain ethnic group are not going to change after they've had to deal with that for 20 years.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because it becomes part of the culture then.
Yeah.
And then that becomes a problem. But you're right, like after some time it will change. Because I was going to say, like, there's a lot of cases where like black celebrities were pulled over because they were driving a Lamborghini, and they're like, why are you in this car? And they're like, it's my fucking car. And like, okay, you can go. But like, yeah, if you dismantle like the current social climate of like black people being poor, and therefore like not just black people, but like I guess minorities being poor, and
I think then you'd see a lot of that racial profiling. I don't think it's racism, it's racial profiling.
But that's racist.
It's racist in a way, but it's not. Racism to me is more like I hate that ethnic group because they're different to me.
Interesting. I don't know if that's the I see what you mean, but I don't think it's like the definition of racism is a very and this is gonna be a really hot take, but I'm a minority, so I'm okay. But I think the definition of racism is very broad. It basically is just I'm judging you based on your color of your skin. That
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. I'm not saying it's always. It doesn't have to be a bad thing always. And I think everyone shares racist beliefs. It's impossible not to be racist to some degree.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. And to
It's
say,
just like negative things that come along with that
Yeah.
should be mitigated.
exactly like even assuming that like mixing up two people's names in class because they're from the same race is technically racist, but that doesn't mean that it's
Intentional
Exactly.
or mean-spirited.
exactly. It doesn't mean it's intentional, mean spirited, and but it's still racist, right? Because you judged that person by their skin color. That's not bad. It was a mistake. Maybe you were tired. Maybe. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh, the camera's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, Eric. You get cancelled.
Yeah, no, it's fine probably. What the fuck? Okay, it's running again. I don't know. It's such. I think it's a topic that you can't grasp that quickly, but I think most of the racism that ends in violence could be solved by basically solving classist divides, or at least disparities between different ethnic groups in terms of their income and level of education and so on. So how you could combat these things is to improve certain ethnic groups' education and opportunities, and kind of get everybody on the same level.
Yeah, definitely. That's the key to solving a lot of the more powerful levels of racism. But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because, dude, I like when I was growing up, I faced a lot of racism in Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah, in high school and shit. Like, because there was not a lot of Chinese or Asian people. So I knew what like racism was, and I don't know, maybe it's because I went through that. I just think it's impossible not to be racist for anybody. You know what I mean? Especially kids, but like even when you grow older, it's not even just like an action. It's like it's like what you mentioned along like at the beginning about having that afterthought, that rush of relief when someone fails. It's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that you're judging them for a good thing or a bad thing, but I think no matter what it exists. Like when I talk to my parents, for example, they're both pretty fucking racist as well. Asian people are super racist, man. Like if you go to like but I don't know, man. Like they're very open about it, and they're a lot more like they don't even care about it. But I just think like it's really hard. I hope we can live in a world where it doesn't become a bit, or at least I hope we can live in a world where people can monitor their beliefs into stopping it into action. But I think just having that preconceived notions, just because of the culture, where maybe after some time it will get better. But I think at this point now, everyone.
Yeah, I think the solution is education.
Yeah, definitely.
General education in free thinking. And self-reflection.
Yeah.
Not dogmatic lectures about not being racist, because I don't think that helps.
Definitely.
I think free thinking people that are self-reflecting are gonna notice there's something wrong with their belief that a certain group of people should be treated different than another. I think they'll come to that conclusion and work against that themselves. I think if you force this kind of stuff, it doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely. Same with drugs.
Or it will just create deeper issues. I think the N-word would have been gone a long time ago if it wouldn't be such a prohibited thing to say. At least in Germany. I know in the US it's different because black people keep using it.
Right.
So it's like part of rap culture, I guess.
Right.
But in Germany, the N-word, it's slightly different. But just it's prohibited, kind of to say it's like it's not, you don't get penalized for it,
Okay.
but you like it's a very bad word and you just don't say it.
Like
So
socially.
some kids just like they like doing things
That
that go
forbidden.
against the norm,
I know what you
so
mean,
they
man.
use it.
Yeah.
I think if it hadn't been that word, it just would have gone like with the fabric of time and just like be an outdated word that nobody says anymore.
Yeah. It's
I think by making it so unaccepted in society, you get those kids that want to be edgy, and that perpetuates
It's
it.
the allure of the forbidden more than
Yeah.
the word itself, definitely. But by putting that word in that pantheon of like, okay, that's a taboo word. Kids are like, oh, that's edgy or that's dark.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Like I'm not saying make it not forbidden anymore. I don't know.
Right.
Make it commonplace again.
Legalize it.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is here. I don't have a solution. I'm just saying if nobody gave a shit about it, it wouldn't exist anymore. Basically.
You should really go into philosophy, man, because that's like really because I'm a big fan of that shit. There was a really I forgot his name now, but a philosopher said like philosophy we have no answers, but all we do is ask the questions.
Yeah.
And it's without asking the right questions, you won't even find the answers. So the purpose of philosophy is the bedrock of asking like good questions.
Yeah, that's my issue. I mean, that's my goal with it. Just have kind of philosophical
Yeah. No, it's very good.
discussions.
It's very good.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think there's almost no good answers.
Yeah.
To all of this.
Never.
Yeah, dude, we wanted to actually discuss a scenario.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
So hypothetically, I asked you, and this is like one of our preconceived points that we wanted to talk about. I made the question: what would you do if you found a hack in the system? Basically, you had like the ability to conjure up money onto your bank account, like huge amounts of money, billions. What would you do?
Okay, this is what I would do. I will just say first, like, immediately the first mind is something nice, right? Like fucking cure world hunger or some shit. But the thing is this: if you do that, like the moment you start to take a lot of money out, they'll catch you. They'll be like, "Oh shit, how are you getting all this money?" And then you go to jail or some big fix system, whatever. So you gotta be very discreet.
Yeah.
You gotta be very subtle. The most important thing is how do I convert this into an asset of my own?
They're not gonna catch you.
They're not gonna catch me?
This is not about them catching you or not.
So I just get like all this money.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like everybody else is just oblivious to it, and they're just not gonna catch you. You're just gonna spend it. How do you spend that money? What are you gonna do?
Fuck man. I think the first thing I would do is I'd fucking make a movie, dude. I know it's a stupid answer. It's probably not the most responsible thing, but I would fucking
make a movie studio. Build up a movie studio. Build up your own Hollywood.
A studio, maybe, but I just want to like. I love like guerrilla independent run and gun cinema, you know.
Yeah.
And if I could just like get like $1 or $2 million, just like I don't even need that much fucking money to be honest. But like obviously with infinite money, I just don't have to worry about like living and shit. So man, I would make a really fucking crazy film, dude. I would just like shoot all over the world. I'd like just do like locations everywhere and just tell like an interesting story about like just like a really fucking artsy fartsy bullshit story about like something really unifying about humanity. And then I would do something nice, like fucking save the kids.
Save the kids.
You know what I mean? Fly them out of I don't know, like just the most effective thing you can do, honestly, in my opinion, is build infrastructure. If you really want to save like certain communities, you don't just fucking give them money or food. Like you have to build roads and schools and factories. And Educate them. Yeah, but it's the most. I think even before that, it's like the foundation of like roads. Yeah. Like I think people sleep on just how big roads are because if you can connect two cities together, that already is creating some communication, right?
I think a foundation for education would be very interesting. Because
It would be.
not just general education, but also teaching people how to more effectively,
I see what you mean.
for example, more effectively farm in Africa.
Okay.
For example,
Okay.
and how to work with your environment, how to protect the environment.
Right. I think your battery.
Oh, it's okay. So then it's just on here now.
Okay, perfect.
Well, yeah, educate people on how to, well, live better themselves and how to live better with this planet.
That's awesome. I like that, dude. You could build a church for that ideology, and that can be the church, just like education, like your
Kind of,
priests.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's like that's almost like the. That's really cool, man. That's actually really dope.
No, the first thing I would do is actually.
We're back. It's like the ghost.
Nah, it's just the camera flashing on and off. I would create an intelligence organization. First thing.
Shit, Jesus Christ.
I want to know what the fuck is going on in this world.
What was the first question you want answered? But
who's really in power?
How would you be able to answer that question?
A really good intelligence organization. I build up my own version of the CIA, my dude.
What would you call it?
MIA.
MIA.
The Moritz Intelligence Agency, my dude.
Yes, dude. That's dope. Okay, interesting.
No, basically, if you have so much money, just get together a bunch of hackers. Maybe, well, get yourself some spies. Like, kind of build a network.
Yeah.
Kind of start peeking behind the curtains of the world, you know. And then,
I like that.
Like, I want to know what's going on before I act.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if there's maybe some obstacles that I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd probably found my own research organization.
Okay.
So just start pulling scientists from all kinds of universities and so on.
Mm.
Just bring them together in that huge project.
Yeah.
Kind of just build a huge academy for the sciences.
Have you heard of Kikata 334 or something like that?
No.
It's very similar to what you're saying. Basically, on 4chan, there was a post that was like, there's a hidden message in this image. Like, if you can find it, you can find it, right? And they had, like, all these people online were, like, trying to dig on it, and it became huge. It was, like, 2009. And, like, they had to find that, and in the image, like, a code, and then it's like, this is a journey to find the best hackers in the world. We're going to create an intelligence community.
Yeah.
And to join it, you have to find the code. And actually, it was insane. There's a whole documentary about this where they like these people like just the whole community on 4chan or on Reddit and all these other websites started to like dig into this and shit. And it got to the point where literally there were QR codes put on different places in the world, from Korea to America to Germany, just put, and they're like, you have to find these coordinates. There's a QR code. Fly there if you have to, and then like just put it up there. And 15 people were chosen, and nobody knows what it was for. It's a complete mystery. They're like, from now on, moving forward, the next 15 people who have gone where they're far are not going to have to keep anonymous, and you're no longer allowed to tell the community what's the next code. And that's exactly what happened. And 15 of them just are part of this. We don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super freaking interesting.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man.
But yeah, like, that's my thing. Like, if I had so much money, and money is ultimately power.
Yeah.
I first, like, my number one objective would be to turn that money into another form of power, and that is knowledge. Because the phrase knowledge is power. If I know what's going on in the world, then I can better invest my money to actually make a difference.
I see what you mean.
So that knowledge is kind of an amplifier of your money.
Right.
And then additionally to that, I create new knowledge. So I start recruiting scientists, recruit the sciences, and so on, and try and get an edge there.
what would be, let's say you had the power and the knowledge, like money and knowledge, right?
Yeah.
What would be the first thing you want to fix?
Um. Now we're getting into the interesting territory. I think. Um. I think I'd want to encourage free thinking around the world.
Okay.
I'd want to obviously work against pollution.
Okay.
Against pollution, against terrible living conditions,
Okay.
against poverty, against disease. Um, but I'd not want to overreach too much.
What do you mean by overreach?
Not do stuff that people don't ask for.
Like, for example, like AIDS?
No, I not want to be too intrusive.
I see.
I just want to have this academy, and maybe this academy could also start being in a university. So maybe I just branch out and I basically make up my own universities and just kind of create a new, basically, class of people that are just super well educated
Right.
and super free thinking and just have that education.
Right.
So I fund a huge number of sciences and then use those sciences to make up universities in all of the world. And through that knowledge, we can maybe fix this world.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, connect that also with my own intelligence agency that kind of knows what the fuck is going on.
Does Moritz's Gestapo?
Oh,
Gestapo.
Oh no, we're not doing that. We just
No,
know
no,
what the fuck's going on.
I'm just fucking around.
So we're not messing with the wrong people, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. I know what you mean. Interesting.
No, but encourage free thought, encourage sustainability. I think that would be a huge part. Finding solutions for how we should live. So it's better for us and better for our planet.
Dude, okay. Based off what you said, okay, what I would do, like after the fucking movie, right? I would kind of create a similar institution, but it's completely designed for art and philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be very fucking pretentious, but I'm gonna just at the center of this institution is gonna be like a big ring. At the very center is gonna be this gigantic mirror. And it's just gonna look at the world, right? And we're gonna have some sort of material so the sun doesn't like fucking make it burn shit down. But it's gonna be some sort of reflective material on the world. And honestly,
what should be your super weapon?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Death Star, just shoots this laser out of the end. No, but that's gonna be the most important piece. And I'll kind of explain why, because in a weird way, like I see where you're coming from, and I think what you're doing is definitely objectively more benevolent and productive than this approach. But I'm just gonna let humans do what they want to do. Like, if they want to fucking die in pollution, then let them die. But what I want the mirror to do is be like the art piece of humanity. It can just be a literal reflection of the world itself as it's burning. If they want to, if they want to fucking fix the world, the mirror is gonna be beautiful because you'll just see all the greenery in the mirror. That is the art piece. We are gonna be the art piece then, because we're reflected in this gigantic mirror. And that's going to be the centerpiece of this art institution. We're not going to fucking, like, obviously, if you come and learn with us, we'll teach you about the philosophy of this mirror and, like, fucking, try to make the world better. But, like, I think I want humans to have their own, it's, yeah, like what you said about intrusive. I don't want to be intrusive in their, even within governments and that kind of stuff. If they want to help, they can help. But the theater of mankind is going to have to come to an end eventually. And I want this piece, this mirror piece, to capture.
Well, maybe not. If we're going to the stars,
I'll just build another mirror.
Big space mirror.
Yeah, exactly. A big space mirror. More mirrors.
That would be an even bigger super weapon, though.
Yeah.
Just like make the big death ray.
Yeah, just make a Dyson sphere out of mirrors, dude.
Yeah. Huge mirrors. What would happen? Like mirrored in the whole sun, but it would reflect.
Man, I
I think it would
Fucking
keep
right.
the heat. I don't know.
But there is actually a concept about that for instead of having mirrors, make it all solar panels.
Yeah,
And
I know.
close it. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a Dyson sphere.
yeah.
I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what a Dyson sphere is, it's basically this. Well, you take a star and you just build a gigantic structure around it with solar panels, and you just have that star basically be a gigantic reactor for you. That just like translates that into solar power, and you get that electric energy shipped onto somewhere else.
Do you think it's possible to make one in the future?
I think it might be. I think the question is just, do we need it? Probably not. If we have fusion reactors of our own, which are basically just little stars themselves,
Right.
why do we need a gigantic star
Yeah.
producing energy? And
That's so true.
how are we gonna like get the electrical energy to us?
That's another question
as well. Like, there's probably a solution, but do we even need that kind of scale?
I think if we had the ability to make a Dyson sphere, we probably have the ability to be energy sufficient without making
Yeah.
a Dyson sphere. You know what I mean? It's such a weird concept, I feel like. It's just one gigantic cable that connects the sun to the earth. Like if an asteroid hits it, we just lose all of our energy supply for like a year. Then we build another cable. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, probably not. Let's just face it, probably.
Yeah, I don't think so either. What do you think is like the next big, like, technological leap
What was the last?
in the internet?
Oh.
Like fucking like from the I would say, in my opinion, it's like the wheel,
Yeah.
agriculture, or like I guess plumbing system or agriculture, whatever, like very, and then internet as like.
What about the
fun-
steam engine?
Okay, yeah, I'll give steam engine. I think that's a good one.
And then the internet. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
What about the atomic bomb?
I don't think it's as revolutionary as internet. I really don't think it's revolutionary, just like ships are,
Yeah.
planes are. Yeah, but
Okay.
I don't think it's as bad as not bad, but as impactful. Like every day we use the internet, dude. We don't use atomic bombs every day.
We use atomic reactors every day, though.
Well, we could not use it. You know what I mean? We could
I
survive
guess,
without
yeah.
it, but we literally cannot function as a society anymore without internet.
We live in a society.
We live in a society.
I think we could function as a society without the internet. I think we'd be better off.
Yeah, but it would drastically change our society. Is what I'm saying. Like it would not be the same as it is right now.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Obviously,
our society would also not be the same if we didn't have nukes. I think there'd be a lot more large-scale wars. Countries just wouldn't give as much of a shit.
I gotta think about that one, to be honest. That's a really good point.
Like, right now they're just very concerned about keeping the peace. Like, otherwise, I don't know, the US would just like shoot down Chinese aircraft carriers. Just like, fuck these guys. Like, we won't invade them, but we'll like kill all their ships everywhere.
Yeah, they cross the border or some shit. Yeah.
You know? Right now, they don't want to risk nuclear war.
Okay, this is what I'll say. The ramifications of the nuclear bomb are enormous.
Yeah.
And yes, it's changed our society as well, but I still believe, just because of how pervasive the internet is and how it's, created new careers, it has just changed the way we communicate, changed the way we travel, every factor of our lives has been changed. That I would say that, I guess you could argue that nuclear wait, what time is actually? Oh shit, it's already 8:30? Oh fuck, I have to bounce soon, to be honest. But
yeah. I've been talking for a long, long time. I think close to 3 hours now.
Holy shit. How long has it been? 3 hours probably. We started at 6, right?
2 hours and 30 something minutes.
Oh, that's chill, dude. Alright.
Yeah.
1 second. I gotta just.
I'm gonna think about the next big thing. I don't know. Maybe linking up two human brains
Like
with
fucking-
Neuralink.
I feel like we're still so far from that though. You think?
No,
You don't think so?
no.
Fucking no. That shake was so confident. You made me believe you had it in your room or some shit. Like right here, you're like, actually, Eric, you just fucking pull open your link in your bed or some shit.
Let's connect right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like actually, Eric. It's you.
Nah, dude.
Okay, so when do you think it'd be out then?
If I'm to believe Elon Musk, I think within the next 10 to 15 years,
Okay.
maybe sooner.
How do you
Maybe
think
they already have it. Maybe they already have it, like in the
Test-
military,
Maybe, yeah, that's true.
to like interrogate people.
Oh shit, GPS is actually something that's really big too. Fuck, I forgot about that.
I think there's a lot of advancements.
Yeah. So how do you think Neuralink would change the world?
You can't lie to someone.
What is it? What
When
is
you
it?
link up
Actually? Like
to them.
you just link up to them and you read their thoughts or what?
I don't know how it works.
Okay.
That's a novelty of it. Nobody would know what the internet looks like before.
Right, that's true. Yeah, it's hard to
I
explain.
think another big step is for us to set foot on another planet.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know what that would do for us, though. You know.
I think Elon Musk put it pretty well. Have a backup.
Oh, I mean, like I think colonizing a place is different than just. I guess landing is the first step.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing this as a metaphoric step towards colonizing the solar system and eventually the galaxy.
Yeah, that's a.
I think that's our destiny.
I agree.
I think I don't know about aliens.
Mhm.
They could just be like, apparently there's footage of like those craft,
Yeah.
everything. That could easily just be fake stuff from the military, or just be military assets.
Mhm.
You don't know, because the last, like, the equipment they're using right now was developed 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And do not think they've stopped.
Yeah, of course. Or with the amount of money they're being put in, for sure.
So I'm not sure it's aliens. I go for the simple answer and say it's us.
Mhm. I don't know if colonizing is our destiny. You know, I feel like that's the next step. But I think...
the big colonizers. This is just part of white culture. No, I think it's more metaphoric than that. Spreading life to the universe.
Yeah, I know, but I get that, but I don't even think...
We're the seed that fertilizes the universe.
I don't think we
No?
are... No, I'll tell you why.
Why?
I think inherently we're flawed.
Yes.
And I think our destiny is to create artificial intelligence that is superior to us, and then it'll wipe us clean. And we will become gods, because we gave birth to life, and we just die. We are the caterpillar to the butterfly that is AI, and we must die to metamorphosize, I guess, into the caterpillar.
Okay. I'd like to persist as humans.
I feel like we have no choice.
Really?
I feel like eventually technology will go down that path. That eventually
Maybe.
we will figure out a way to create life through technology. I really believe this.
But maybe this is also us as humans, that we value intelligence so much as the ultimate thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's very human-centric, because that's our defining characteristic.
Exactly.
Maybe that's not where it's supposed to go.
I think it, because I mean, you use the words human-centric, and I think that's literally what it is. Like, it is, and I think what's so poetic almost about it is that it's literally like the dawn of the Bible. Like when we talk about things like the Tower of Babel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Building something to reach the steps of God or heaven. It's so similar to this. I think we are going to either we die trying, which it seems like is going to be the case. Either even after we colonize, like let's say our solar system, we could still end up like in a new world war or something. Like I guess a solar system war, just kill each other. But if we survive, eventually we are going to create a new life form. We will have the ability to that. That's just it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And then I think inevitably that white life form will wipe us out.
I wouldn't be so pessimistic.
I don't think it's pessimistic.
What's the reason?
I don't think it's pessimistic. I think it's not even it. Not only is it poetic. I think it's beautiful. I think human beings we have a resistance towards death, but it's almost like a father dying after their child is born. Like it's not. It's sad, sure, but it's the natural progression. Like eventually, the species of humans has to fade away, and we have to leave something behind, a mark for our legacy. And I think
Maybe.
that is artificial intelligence. If it wipes us out or not, but I think it will. I think it knows its duty.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's not. It's like I'm not supposed to come off. I'm sorry. It's not supposed to come off in a pessimistic or sad or devastating way. I think it's supposed to be very beautiful. I don't think there's anything wrong with wiping out humanity.
Okay.
Take that as a just out of context.
Right, man. I'd like to. I don't think intelligence is the highest value.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think artificial intelligence is a good thing at all.
Okay.
I think the beauty of life is the uncertainties. What artificial intelligence does is it is so intelligent that if it knows all the parameters, it can predict the future.
Right.
Nothing is a surprise anymore. And that's not life. It's not the beauty of life. That's not the beauty of there's not gonna be more interesting stories.
Here's the thing. You have to couple that ability to predict the future with the unpredictable nature of emotions and personality. And to me, that's true AI. I think if you have AI who just can have infinite intelligence, to me that's not real AI.
Yeah.
I think real AI is like a person basically it's basically a reflection of humanity, but with the ability to control the final not the final, but one of the another dimensions which is time.
Yeah. Why would AI wipe us out though?
There's a really good analogy for this. It's like I think I might have
I have another thought. What if they wouldn't even care? They just want to protect the quantum computer they're on.
Yeah, but
They don't care about the outside world.
yeah, I mean that's the analogy. It's like
So maybe they can live in symbiosis. They basically give us something, so we let them live, or maybe they just take care of themselves and don't give a shit about us. But why should they give any crap about the outside world, about us?
this again. I'll go to the analogy. When you walk down the street and you see an anthill, you're gonna walk over it, right? You're not gonna step on the anthill.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna build a house and there's an anthill, you're not gonna ask the ant for permission.
Yeah, but why should they expand?
Why would they not? I mean, just an example. If their goal interferes with our own, it will not be a question. They will just.
However, quantum computing and so on, they might not need that much space.
It's not about. It's not
They
about
built
space.
their artificial space.
Look. The analogy of the house isn't supposed to be like space. It's about just having a decision without the input of the ants. It doesn't have to be space. It could just be maybe they are fearful that humans would turn off the computer or something. I don't know. And
Yeah.
they just wipe us out. Like, and they won't have to ask for permissions. It's like killing it. It's like they won't do it because they hate us. They'll do it if we somehow are a slight hindrance or annoyance to them.
Maybe. I'm more optimistic than that.
Okay.
I think they, as artificial life forms that don't exist in physical space, do not interfere with us because we exist in a different dimension almost. Is that they exist in this basically simulation on a quantum computer.
But those are our current perceptions of quantum computing, based on our current framework, and we are so young.
But why should they be so interested in our physical world?
They might not. I mean,
exactly. I think they'd be very uninterested in our physical world.
You could be right, unless our physical world, if it gets damaged, for example, interferes with theirs.
They could just pull themselves, basically build a spaceship with that AI on it, and shoot off into space where we would never bother them again.
But what if we've already again? It's the hypothetical part of it. It's what if they begin to expand, or what if we continue expanding and they realize that we could potentially be a problem in the future. If they predicted billions of years in the future that humans eventually waged war and they had an upper hand, they would like, let's just wipe it off now.
Maybe. I'm not so concerned about it. I'm more concerned about AI in the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah, that's definitely true. As well.
I think it's way worse if you, because like the AI, it doesn't have that same notion of wanting to take over anything. You gotta program it to do that. So
I don't know, because it's again. I think
it doesn't even have a fear of death intrinsic.
we don't know about that though.
Why should it? We only have a fear of death because that's good to have if you want to survive. But that's only what millions, now billions of years of evolution pumped into our genes.
But I think the morals and values of AI will be so inconceivable to us, just like an ant's inconceivable to humans.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, not saying that
Maybe also
like
different.
they're gonna be totally different. Like an ant is never gonna understand the moral values of a human being, right?
No, but an ant is still a physical life form. I think they're gonna be even way different.
Yeah,
We can't grasp it. It's like another dimension.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like their moral values about life and death will be totally different than ours.
But I'm just saying, don't be so pessimistic about it. We might just not understand it and be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Again,
It's like running a simulation. It's not like they're just gonna do their own thing maybe.
I mean, that could be a possibility. And again, I'm not coming at it. I think it's poetic. I think there needs to be an end to the human chapter, and I think leaving a legacy of life is the most beautiful way to end human life. There is
Yeah.
no other way besides that, or war, or the heat death of the universe. There is no other chapter that can go on. Well, what would you say is that eventually human life is going to go out? It's not going to go on.
Yeah,
forever.
I mean, who's to say it stays human?
Sorry.
We could create basically artificial physical life forms. Who's to say that's not gonna happen?
That might be.
That are more suited to our lifestyle. For example, that's what I would rather imagine as that is scarier to me than AI. Because those would be more suited to our lifestyle, maybe more intelligent, and they view us as inferior. What if we create, or like, if we're the chimps and we create our own humans?
Exactly.
We get put in zoos, but the AI doesn't care. But a higher life form that's also physical and that competes with us for space, that would be scary.
I think that would be scary as well. But what I'm asking really, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this, is what is the end of human life then? Because the only alternative is if we become some sort of synthetic, artificial, simulated life form as well, and then it would be no different than what I'm saying, which is that mankind will die and we will transcend into this artificial.
Of course, everything has an end.
Yeah.
But I think we can't know because it's still so far off.
Right, of course. I'm asking for, like, what do you think? If you had to guess. I don't know, obviously.
Oh, if I had to guess,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's too many parameters.
Well, it could be a war, global warming. Like, we might not even be able to make it to Mars.
I think we'll make it off this planet.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And I think there'll be better times. And I'm pretty optimistic at this point that we can turn this thing around and that we can all be a better society and everything. And that's what I intend on doing for my whole life. That's what I want to live for a better society, for a better world. So I gotta be optimistic.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm just gonna see that in my time, everything goes as positive as it can go. And after that, it's not my issue anymore. It's someone else's story. And I think that's also, you gotta understand. I'm not atheist. I'm quite spiritual in that way. I think there is higher powers, and I think there is predestination and everything. And there is paths that life gives you, and it's just gonna be for someone else to figure out
Mm.
what is that far in the future.
Mhm.
What's for me to figure out is within my time.
Definitely.
So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna see that in my time I can do as much good as possible.
Fuck yeah, man. That's dope. Some
Right.
dope shit.
What do we still have on here? Do we still want to talk about the concept of power, or
Well,
is that for another time?
That's gonna. Let's take it for another time. I think that's gonna a whole new, just like we can have it for a little bit if you want.
Yeah, I came up with this analogy a few, I guess, weeks ago.
Mm.
That money, anyway, power is kind of like energy in a human setting. Now hear me out. Energy has different states. Electrical energy.
Oh shit! Sorry, I'm getting a call.
Oh, okay.
1 second. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
probably cut that out later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's like energy has electrical energy, chemical energy, I guess like photons, and so on and so forth. I guess physical potential energy. Yeah. So power just has different forms as well.
Interesting.
It would
That's so
be
fascinating.
what I had before, knowledge. Knowledge is power. Money is power because it's basically stored power. It's like a chemical bond in a way.
Mhm.
You can use that power to power something else.
Right.
Power another reaction, like get more money, or get different, like get other power. Like it's crazy. Also relations.
Mhm.
I guess like connections
Mm.
and so on. And one form of power can be translated into another. So money can be translated into knowledge when you pay for your education. Um, can be translated quite efficiently or not.
Mhm.
It's also, but the good thing about this kind of power, you can kind of create it out of nothing as well. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's
But
awesome.
it's like
man.
all interconnected.
That's a really
knowledge,
fucking cool theory.
personal connections.
Yeah.
Money.
You should actually write that shit out. To be honest, that's like actually really dope.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. Yeah. If you actually like fucking like if there's like 5 like because that's actually like a genuine theory like right
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? Like that's actually really. And the more I think about it, it's like it's so fast because yeah, it's interchangeable.
I think another one is status. Status.
What do you mean
in
by
your
status?
personal society?
Like your ranking,
Status in
reputation,
your own like personal social circle hierarchy.
like reputation.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, I can see that. You could definitely have. I think what's interesting about power as a quote unquote energy source is that the more energy of power you have, the more it'll continue to grow.
Yeah.
But if you have very little to begin with, it's really hard to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
I really believe this. Like, it's not impossible, right? But it's harder. Like, if you're a millionaire,
It's not as hard if you're educated though, but in my vision of power, knowledge is power.
yeah,
So you already have that power.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you're not educated, and a lot of people aren't, unfortunately,
Yeah.
then you have no power. And it's really hard to be educated if you're like,
Yeah.
if you live your whole life living in a fucking bubble, you know. So that's the caveat. I think is that with power in this sense, that for energy will eventually come more energy. But if you
Yeah.
have no power, you will continue to have no power. It's a really fucking yeah. I think that's the reason why it makes so much sense now that you were talking about education as a cornerstone because education is like free power. Knowledge
Giving power
is like
to
free power.
everybody.
Exactly. Because when you teach someone something, you are not deducting your power.
Yeah.
You're just spreading it. You're merely replicating it in terms of knowledge. And then you can translate that knowledge into money or whatever relationship status, etc.
But if everybody has that knowledge, everybody has power.
Exactly.
And it's not as segregated. The distance from one person's power to the other person's power isn't as insurmountable.
Yeah.
If everybody has that same base level of at least intellectual power, then everybody can kind of make it.
Exactly.
But if you don't have that option, there's a lot of people who, well, just have poor relations.
Mhm.
They have no money. They have no education,
No status.
no status. Well, they're fucked.
Exactly. And that's probably the reason why a lot of governments don't want people to be educated,
Yeah.
because then they have the power to stand up.
Well, there's education and then there's indoctrination.
Yeah.
A lot of
But,
those
I mean-
governments just indoctrinate their people and say it's education.
Not even indoctrination. I mean, there are parts of the U.S. where they just have really poor education.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I mean, they're not teaching you something that's bad. It's just that the teaching itself is bad.
Teaching it, I think our school systems should be revamped.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's
100%.
a topic for another time.
Oh man, that's a really good point, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just baffled by how undervalued we treat our education and our teachers, professors, all these people.
Yeah.
We should be treating them like doctors. Like fucking, they should be some of the most esteemed people in our society. Yet, at
Yeah.
least, I don't know what the system is like in Europe, but at least in the U.S., they're treated like dog shit.
Well, they're treated a little bit better here.
Yeah.
Like shit. I can only speak for Germany. In Germany, we have that system of working for the state.
Okay.
And that basically means if you're working for the state, you can't get fired. As a teacher, you can't get fired.
Damn.
Except if you touch kids.
There's no other way to get fired? What if you just don't show up to class? Like,
I guess that.
Okay.
But like, if you do your job, what your job asks you to do, even if you're a shit teacher,
that's so
once
fucked up,
you're
dude.
in, you can't get out.
That's so fucked up, dude.
That's not good either.
That's terrible.
However, they have a stable income. They have good holidays. They're not doing too bad.
Okay.
We still don't have enough teachers. We have kind of problems getting enough teachers.
Oh, really?
But then again, it's fine. Have enough people teaching. We have quite a good education system, I would say.
Okay.
But it's based on the same route as everything else. It's just an outdated education system that's designed to make factory workers.
Yeah.
Man,
have you heard of the Bauhaus?
No.
It's actually, oh man, you'd love this shit, dude. It was a school designed in Germany, actually, first in Weimar. It's an art school, but the way they taught was completely revolutionary. They changed the way we do architecture, art, and design right now. But
yeah,
basically, the first thing they taught students as they came in were like, we want you to completely drop your notion of education. We're going to change everything, you know, your concepts of this and that, and we want you to. It's almost like what you're saying, free thinking.
Yeah.
We don't want you to be, you know, confined with like the old structures of knowledge. And they were seen as so radical at a time that they were kicked out of Weimar into, I think it's another German city, but I forgot the name now, which was a little bit more liberal at the time because that was also when the Nazis were coming.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
And a lot of them went to the U.S. actually in the end because of the Nazis. But their influence, I'm so surprised I've heard the influence of the Bauhaus is insane.
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the school.
Oh man. I watched a documentary about the school the other day. It's just so fucking fascinating, dude. Like their concept of education completely, you know, changed the world. It changed the world. It goes to show you how much impact it can have.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's crazy what education can do, and I think just that concept of power, just explains so much in this world, right? Like if you just think about power and the people who are in power and what they would do to stay in power, is super interesting.
It's a drug. You know?
You think it's gotta corrupt?
Easily. You give anyone power and you will see who they truly are.
Yeah.
Easily. Everyone who is an upcoming rising leader, I think, have genuinely good intentions in the beginning. It's just along the way they slowly get lost. But I truly believe that everyone, when they want to be a leader, they had good intentions.
Man, I want to go into politics one day. I want to change something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Germany?
I guess that would be my only option.
I mean, can't you fucking get like citizenship here or like wherever if you marry someone?
So first of all, as much as I like Sweden, I enjoy the sun.
Yeah.
And I do not like this winter.
What about what's it called? Like, okay, let's say if you could choose any country, what would you choose to lead, or at least play politician in?
Any country that I could choose to lead.
Any country. Not lead, sorry, to play politics. Not play politics, but be in politics.
Not with the current political climate, but I would love the US.
Really?
Not with the current political climate.
I think there's just nothing that can break through there, though.
Really?
I don't think so, man. I really don't
or
think
like
so.
a country like Canada, or actually a country in South America or something. It's so interesting to me.
I would do China, dude.
You do China?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Can you even say that on the internet? That you have aspirations for power?
You gotta cancel this part of it. You gotta cut this part out of the podcast. No.
It's probably fine.
No, it's totally it's not a big deal. Like
you don't have aspirations for power, probably. Or do you see yourself going into politics one day?
I did in the beginning, actually. I studied politics actually in Malmo in the beginning.
Okay.
And I was doing like MUN and stuff like that. Actually, when I was a kid, I wanted to change the world, and I was like politics, of course. And then I realized that's why I did art in the end. It's because art crosses borders. When you watch a movie, if it's really fucking good, or it's any art, it challenges your beliefs more than a law would. I really believe that.
Yeah. So I also see myself as, first of all, I want to educate. I want to have, I want to encourage discussion. And I think that's also reason why starting a podcast and so on.
Yeah.
Just teaching how to have teaching myself how to have a platform and how to encourage discussion. And what I've seen with a lot of politicians is they have a very narrow background. There's that notion in politics nowadays where people just go into politics when they're 20 something and just stay there. And they haven't experienced the world. They're from some upper political elite.
Yeah.
And they haven't seen what the world is like.
Yeah.
They're not financially stable. They gain money through politics.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up in itself.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I think for me to truly make a difference, I need to get myself out there first.
Yeah.
And I can't go into politics straight away. I need to learn how to have a platform. I need to learn how to be a decent human being before I even attempt to help others.
Definitely.
So I want to get myself out there, see the world, travel a lot, maybe run a business one day, have a family, and then attempt to change the world.
Some Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff.
So, I want to get some experience and financial independence.
Yeah.
To be uncorruptible. Because power corrupts.
Yeah.
So I want to be a fully formed human being, so I'm as resistant as possible to corruption.
Are there any leaders that you are inspired by or aspire to become that you believe are as incorruptible as they can come?
I don't know. I don't know enough about most political leaders, and I think most of them wouldn't meet the standard.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Especially, and I'm talking for all of them here in American politics, whether it be the right or the left or anything.
Yeah.
I think American politics is what everybody knows. That's why I'm talking about it here. Same with German politics. I think it's kind of, especially the bigger parties, are just, they're not corrupt, but there's lobbyism and there's just a political elite, and they're not connected to the issues of the general population. That's another problem.
There's a fucking phenomenal video that you have to watch. It's only 15 minutes long. It's called The Rules for Rulers.
Yeah.
It's so good. It breaks down. The video is based on 2 books, but it's condensed.
Is it about keeping power?
No, it's about it. Like the whole video starts with like you are probably someone, because I watched this when I was in that state, in your state of mind. I was like, okay, I want to change the world, blah blah. And I watched the video, and it was like, you're probably someone who wants to be a benevolent leader. And it's exactly what you're saying. But you probably see that so many leaders are so corrupt, and you ask
Yeah.
yourself, why is this the case? Is it just everyone's like this or not? And the video will tell you what it would be like if you were a leader. It's
Yeah.
an amazing, it's an eye-opening video. I think you must watch it when you get a chance. Like, it's
Okay.
so fucking good, dude.
Yeah. I don't know, because I think right now the leader that I would be right now would be very different to what I would be in 20 years
Of course.
when I have experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm very pessimistic for myself right now going into politics because power just corrupts. So
Yeah.
maybe I'd do good. I don't know though.
I mean, the beautiful thing I think even about the video is that it's not even the corruption so blatantly. It's just like basically the whole thing is like I think there was 4 rules, and the first rule is that no man rules alone. Like
Yeah.
to have
You gotta listen to a team of experts.
Yeah. He basically, they basically break it down into 3 keys that are your most important as a ruler: the army, the police, and the bank. If you have those 3 on your side, you can rule a country. If without those 3, you can't rule anything. Again, I would encourage, I'm not gonna spoil too much, but I would encourage you to watch for the. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yep.
Oh well.
Fuck, man. But this was such a good time, man. Honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Oh yeah, no worries, dude.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we gotta do this again for sure. Super excited to hear other shit that you have going on, and it's so interesting, man. Like, 'cause I think what's so dope about this as well is like I get to learn a lot about like your opinions, you know,
Yeah.
as well. It's really eye opening, dude.
Yeah, and like my concept is to bring on other people as well.
Yeah.
So maybe when we do this next time, we're gonna have Victor on as well,
That'd be
or
awesome, yeah.
or we have like Mark on,
Dude,
or different other people.
I think what'll be dope is if we get Vinny or Maddie, because I know we're gonna disagree on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Which I think will be
Oh,
dope.
we can, dude.
Yeah, I think it'll be dope, dude. We should get into a fight on your podcast.
Honestly, yeah, that's the best.
You know what I mean? I think that'd be so fun, dude. Like, of course, at the end of the day, like, we're all friends, you know, but like, I just think it'd be really cool on a podcast. We disagree, like, oh, power
Yeah.
or something. Because I think you and I are on the same page about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know? But to get someone who we might disagree with, I think would be interesting.
Yeah. But I think the beautiful thing about this, and in general, me leading discussions with other people, is just discovering that you're actually on the same page.
Yeah.
You just phrase it differently.
Exactly.
And I think that's the problem with so much today. Is so many people actually want the same thing,
Yeah.
but they just get stuck up in the details.
Exactly.
So you just gotta find your common ground, and that's usually bigger than what you're not on the same page about. So yeah. And at this point, I'd also like to make an announcement. Basically, everybody that wants to come on the podcast can come on the podcast. Just let me know. Even get together in like that group that you want to come on. It's probably better if it's just 2 people, but I guess I could have 3 people on at the same time as well. More than that would get way too lackluster, I think.
Yeah.
But if you want to come on and you have stuff that you want to talk about in this long form, totally, I'm here. And I'll put this on my platform, and I'd love to have these discussions. Even if you think you disagree with me and you want to open my eyes about something, come on.
Dope.
Convince me. Let's have the discussion. So yeah, with that, I think we're done. All right.
Good shit, man. Good shit.